You're just that intelligent?
Yes.
Hello and welcome to Cryptic Web Chronicles. The purpose of today's video is to share with you the full uncensored Josiah tapes in their entirety. The Josiah tapes, if you weren't aware, are a shocking series of phone call recordings that were made by internet troll Josiah Munoz during the trolling saga that would later be known as Apostlegate. If you haven't been following this story so far, make sure to check out my Patrick S. Tomlinson playlist to better understand the intricacies of one of the craziest internet trolling stories to ever unfold. By the way, this video features all 5 of the full, uncut, and completely uncensored Josiah tape recordings. Because of their length, I've included timestamps in the description. While all of the tapes are interesting to hear, as they display just how fat and insane Tomlinson is, the most explosive tape, and the one you'll probably want to hear the most, is tape number 5. So stick around, or skip ahead. Whatever you do, just make sure you don't miss the insanity that takes place during Josiah's 5th phone call with Patrick. This all began when Josiah Munoz, an internet troll from the Opie and Anthony forums, was approached by investigative journalist Thomas Apostle to assist in an elaborate trolling effort against Patrick Tomlinson. Apostle convinced Tomlinson that he had a mole deep within the O and A forums and began feeding him false information, including supposed secret and insider details about the forum users, such as their names and identities. At the same time, Patrick was engaged in a massive lawsuit against the forums and inadvertently used the false information from the supposed mole in his case. But Thomas Apostle didn't just want to crash Patrick's lawsuit. That's where Josiah came in. The mole introduced Patrick to Josiah, pretending he was a journalist at the Huffington Post. To make their story more convincing, the trolls even registered a domain name similar to the Huffington Post, giving Josiah's emails an air of legitimacy. Josiah would email Patrick writing, "Hello, my name is Josiah Munoz. I'm an assistant editor for the Huffington Post. I would like to have a phone interview this afternoon regarding your experiences with fake reviews, Twitter's reporting algorithms, exploits, and trolls. I want to discuss specifically the trolls at oanaforums.net. Please let me know if you're interested." Patrick would email back, "Josiah, let's talk. I'm available anytime this afternoon. Let me know a time that works for you and I'll shoot you my number." A short time later, Patrick and Josiah would have their first call. What you're about to hear is the full uncut recording of Josiah Tape 1.
This is Patrick. How can I help you?
Hey, Patrick, this is Josiah from Huffington Post. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm well. Thanks for calling.
Well, thanks for taking the time. Before we start, I just wanted to let you know that this is being recorded. However, this recording will not be released to the public in any way. We're just going to use it as a reference. So I just wanted to...
I understand. I've done a few of these now. So.
Okay. Well, I apologize then if some of these questions are a bit repetitive, but my first...
I expect I'll be going through the story, more than once. So.
Okay. All right. Well, then my first question to you is, how has this group of people on the internet, on ONA forums, affected your life outside of the internet? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, immensely. They've come to my house. They've videotaped themselves trespassing on my property in order to intimidate us. They've vandalized both our home and my motorcycle in just the last couple of weeks here. They've left graffiti around my neighborhood in places that they know I walk in between, knowing that I'll see it. They harass local businesses that they know I frequent, trying to harass and annoy and intimidate the owners and employees into, making it just too difficult to do business with me and ban me from the premises. They've tried to, they've impersonated female members of my gym, and through anonymous emails accused me of taking spy shots of women while they were working out, hoping hoping to get me banned from my gym. They have gone to because I've done some work for the Science Channel as a contributor,
Right.
And they have they've gone to Discovery Channel and left anonymous false reports that I had sexually harassed female cast members or crew members while I was visiting the studios, which of course never occurred because all of the stuff was done remotely, and I've never visited the Discovery studios in Atlanta.
Right.
But I had to have a long conversation with one of Discovery's lawyers about, because she needed to clear the accusations off of her, her to-do sheet. And so I had to have a conversation much like the one I'm about to have with you, with her, explaining the situation, explaining that no females have associated
Right.
with Discovery have ever had any complaints about me, because I've never actually met one. Just trying to get me kicked out, or trying to get me kicked off of that recurring television gig that I've had for a couple of years now. They have sent death threats to my publishers, demand and fake reports about my misbehavior at non-existent misbehavior at conventions, trying to get my publishers to drop me and cancel my book contracts, or refuse to renew new book contracts. They text me harassment every single day. They email me harassment almost every single day. They have sent they send fake food orders, defrauding local restaurants to my house almost every single day. They have twice sent the police to our house on using fake police reports. Including one episode which I would definitely categorize as swatting, because at 11:30 at night on a Thursday during lockdown, I answered the door in my my bathrobe to two uniformed police officers of Milwaukee County, or of Milwaukee City, with their hands on their guns, demanding that I tell them where the children are.
Oh my gosh.
These are, and this is not a full accounting.
Right.
They harass, they text and leave voicemail. They leave voicemails every day. I've gotten 2 voicemails today from an unknown email server. Like a text to email sort of server thing. Demanding that I go brush my piss yellow teeth. My family keeps getting inundated with texts. My wife's siblings keep getting texts saying, we have photographic evidence of Patrick cheating on Nikki, and she should divorce him immediately. Or the opposite, like texting my mother-in-law saying that your daughter's a whore and she loves getting bukkakied by a circle of N-words. Just all the time, nonstop, for 3 years. It has never let up. It has never relented.
Okay.
And that's not the online stuff. Because you asked specifically about offline.
Right.
And the online stuff is just as bad in some ways, and in some cases even more damaging.
Right. I definitely want to get into everything you just mentioned. One of the things you said is they don't just go after you; they go after businesses that you frequent. They go after your friends and family. They go after female acquaintances of yours.
They go after my colleagues in the science fiction and fantasy, publishing industry. They've gone after reviewers who have left positive reviews of my books. They go after my Twitter followers who say supportive things, or make it sound like they're in my corner with all of this. They dox people. They've doxed dozens upon dozens of people, and then proceeded to text and try to intimidate them. They have found a good friend of mine who's who's pretty big in our kind of incestuous little sci-fi and fantasy community, but he's a photographer, and he's a reviewer, and he's very well liked, and he's completely harmless, and he struggles with depression and suicidal ideation. So of course they text him demanding that he kill himself. Yeah.
Has this
and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's on top of all the death threats that they send to me, all the rape threats that they send to my wife, all the times that they've demanded that I kill myself. This is just constant.
Has this
unending.
Yeah. Has this strained your relationship with any of these people? Or is there anybody who's told you, Patrick, I think you're a great person. I love to work with you. I love to do this, that, and the third with you, but I'm sorry, I can't handle this.
Yes, of course. And, and I wish them well. I don't want this for anyone. But yeah, I've been blocked on Twitter and other platforms by people who see it coming and just don't want anything to do with it. I'm quite certain, I can't confirm, but I'm pretty certain I've been blocked by people who have fallen for it when some of these people have impersonated me in one way or another. There's the important people in my industry who we haven't seen each other at a convention in 18 months now, and so since a lot of this has been happening over the last year and a half,
right. I
haven't had the opportunity to actually see them in person for them to come up to me and go, "What the fuck are you emailing me?" And I can say, "Nope, that's not what's going on here." And nobody, and that's usually where we all reconnect and air our grievances and go through all these kinds of things. But we haven't had that personal connection for more than a year and a half now. And so, the first opportunity I'll have to see if I'm right about any of these folks that I suspect that I am, having through no fault of their own fallen for exactly what these people wanted them to fall for, and is not until December at the next Worldcon.
Mm-hmm. So some of these people actually fall for the impersonation and that sort of thing, and then other people, they know it's fake, they know it's trolling, but at the same time, they still don't want to associate with you because it's just not worth it. Would you say that's an accurate characterization?
Not online at the very least. Not in a place where these cyber stalkers are actively trying to harvest their next victims.
Right.
If we'd see each other at a convention or at a book signing or something, then there'd be no issue. If we're just sitting around and having at a bar con having a few beers, then there's no issue. But and it's made it difficult for me because I want to be able to show my support to up and coming authors. I want to be able to show my support to reviewers and readers, and I want to show my support for. And that's what you do. You help to promote each other. You help to lift each other up. But now every time I do, I'm sitting there's that little gremlin in the back of my head going, "Am I going to be inviting down the wrath of these fucking sociopaths on this completely innocent, unsuspecting person?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said that you were swatted by these people. You said, can you give a little bit more background on when this happened and what they told the police to show up at your house?
It was last June. Milwaukee was still during lockdown. I would have to look at the
2020, correct?
What's that? In 2020.
This is okay.
So June 2020. So I'm sorry, not 2 months ago, but June 2020. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so I would have to look up the exact date because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was a Thursday night. And what had happened was that one of these people went onto Milwaukee's local Craigslist page and created a fake ad using my real name, using my real home address, using my real telephone number, and my real email address, because these are things they've doxed amongst themselves for 3 years now and use in all sorts of abusive ways. But they created a fake Craigslist ad pretending to be me, offering up free sausage and pepperoni that I had made in my basement out of the bodies of black children that I had kidnapped from the neighborhood. And then...
I'm sorry.
No, you heard me correctly.
Where? Okay. Where did they?
No, you...
I know. Where did they get that from? Is that like
Well, they think grinding black children up into sausage is hilarious. It's a recurring joke with them.
Do you know why it's a recurring joke with them? Like, is there...
Because they are terrorists and sociopaths who need to be put to death. That's why. These are the worst people on the face of the planet. They are utterly remorseless. They are utterly amoral. They are racists. They are white supremacists. They are transphobic. They are homophobic. They are anti-Semitic. They are fascist Nazis. Every last one of them. They are insane. They're delusional. They're obsessed. They have no redeeming human qualities of any sort.
So
they have no mercy. They have no remorse. They think cruelty is the funniest thing in the world. They have no sense of humor. They only have a sense of inflicting pain on strangers. That's it. That's their entire reason for existence. They do nothing else. They think about nothing else. They talk about nothing else. This is their whole lives revolves around this.
So
I wish I was exaggerating anything I just said.
Right. So somebody. So let me just get this correct. Somebody, I imagine, just said, "Hey, let me come up with the absolute worst act that I can possibly think of. You know, kidnapping African American children, and then doing what you just said, grinding them into sausage." And that's pretty much just how it originated. There's no there's no reference or anything. They just thought, let me think of the worst possible thing I can think of, and then go on Craigslist and accuse this person of doing that. Is that inaccurate?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. And okay, so then what happened? Somebody posted that on Craigslist, and then
someone posted on Craigslist, and then one of them, perhaps I've never been able to figure out who, but one of them, maybe the same person who posted the fake ad, or maybe one of the other members of this cyber terrorism group working in concert with the person who placed the ad, then anonymously sent a tip in to the Milwaukee police saying, "Hey, my God, you've got a serial killer over on Oakland Avenue."
I'm sorry. So you know that the person who sent the tip in was an anonymous person from this group. It
Yes.
wasn't just a concerned citizen who went on Craigslist and saw this ad.
The ad was not up for long enough for it to have been anybody but them. Only they would have known about it.
Oh wow. Okay. That's
because of the fact they used my email address in the creation of the account that led to that they used in order to make the ad. And so I got an alert like the second the ad was about to go up. And once I got that alert, I contacted Craigslist, and the ad was up for maybe 5 minutes. I mean, Craigslist did in Craigslist's defense here, they did everything right. Like their moderation team was on top of it immediately, and it was not up long enough for anybody to do anything about it. They knew about it. Only they knew about it.
Okay, so realistically speaking, nobody really saw this. This was sort of like a manufactured, swatting sort of thing.
This was a way for them to get around the specific anti-swatting laws, which say that you have, in order to get, in the few jurisdictions that actually have anti-swatting laws, almost all of them are very specific in saying that, you have, in order to be guilty of swatting, you have to call and pretend, be impersonating someone who is in a hostage situation.
Right. You can't. That makes sense what you're saying. You can't just post something that somebody else would call the police and require a SWAT.
And so this is a so they know goddamn well that what they were doing was swatting. They knew goddamn well that what they were attempting to do was to get the police to assassinate me on my own porch. That's what they were trying to do. and they protected themselves against the few laws that are on the books by using this little workaround.
Right. Okay, can you, so somebody from there calls the police. Can you tell us what happens next?
Well, as I said, about 11:30 at night or so, two Milwaukee police department officers showed up on my porch. My wife and I had been binge watching something and going through some bourbon because it was locked down and there wasn't a hell of a lot else to do on a Thursday night. And so, I answered the door with a little bit of a buzz going, not expecting the police, not really knowing what to expect at all, to find two hothead idiot officers with their hands on their guns, shouting in my face, demanding to know where the children are. Where are the bodies? What have you done? And I'm like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you talking about? Come back with a warrant. And the confrontation escalated to the point that my wife had to step in and go, okay, you testosterone-soaked idiots aren't listening to each other. We are being stalked. This was a fake report. And then, she led them away and had a more somewhat de-escalated conversation with them. Yes. Because I was about to fucking punch somebody in the throat. You don't just show up to my door and accuse me of killing children. What the I don't care if you've got a gun on you or not.
Yeah, well, how on earth, that's a sort of second-by-second interaction, life or death situation. How are you going to quickly explain to these people that you've been stalked for 3 years and
well, it had been two at that point, but there simply isn't any way to. These guys are already there, jacked up, thinking they were going to get that they were going to get a huge bust. And so, and then they left, and I immediately called dispatch, and I'm sure that call is recorded somewhere. I immediately called dispatch and was like, what the fuck was that? Really demanding answers. And then their supervisor later that evening, actually within about a half hour, so he was very attentive. But he called me back and we talked for a good hour about the whole situation.
Uh-huh.
And he opened a case number. He opened an investigation. But being just a local citywide police department, their resources and tech abilities are quite limited. They don't have an unlimited budget for these sorts of things.
Right.
And since none of these people, to the best of our knowledge, live in Milwaukee, they don't have jurisdiction over them anyway.
Oh, so even if they find out who did this, if they live outside of Milwaukee, you're saying there's nothing they can really do?
The Milwaukee PD would have to transfer the evidence and case to the local police department where the people live. And then it would be up to that police department whether or not they wanted to pursue charges.
Did the police indicate to you, whether they were going to pursue that or,
they attempted to, but there's only, you're dealing with an anonymous account that was created using falsified email address, falsified phone number, or stolen email address and phone number, I should say.
Yeah.
Who's hiding behind, and then the person who created that, you can subpoena Craigslist if you want, but they're hiding behind a VPN.
Right.
So,
VPN,
how many, and they're using burner emails, so you need, even if the local police are invested in doing something about it, say I've been killed, and or grievously wounded, and now all of a sudden they have a public relations disaster on their hands, and they want to actually pursue it.
Uh-huh.
You still need to turn it into a federal case in order to get the kind of resources that you need to prosecute across state lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Do you think maybe this one incident, if it's sort of like an isolated incident, they might, not really be willing to go forward with using too many police resources. What do you think that these people have to
Oh, but
do?
it
I'm sorry?
wasn't isolated. There were two other incidents where the police were sent to my house because of anonymous false reports filed by these people. Last November, there's a establishment. In fact, one of the local businesses that these people have been harassing for a year and a half. It's a pub and restaurant called Hooligans, maybe 4 blocks from my house. They had a fire. The fire was ruled an accident. It wasn't like arson or anything. But this group, because they so obsessively track everything about me and every facet of my life, they knew within half an hour that Hooligans had a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so they sent anonymous tips into Milwaukee Police Department again,
saying that you caused the fire?
That I caused the fire. That I was seen running away within moments after the fire started. And so again, at about 10 o'clock at night, police show up to my door with questioning me. It was much less confrontational this time because I, have it on record that these sorts of things are occurring.
Right.
But and police have come out to speak after death threats were filed. Like that's just more of a wellness check sort of thing. But yeah, my publisher, Tor Books, had gotten an anonymous email from one of them a couple 18 months ago, 20 months ago. I'd have to look it up. Had gotten an anonymous email from them saying, "Hey, just so you know, I'm going to be murdering one of your authors, Patrick Tomlinson, at Summerfest today. I've already kidnapped his lesbian wife." And so, yeah, the police, my publisher reported that to the New York Police Department, and then the New York Police Department contacted the Milwaukee Police Department, and I had an officer out on my porch to make sure that,
you're okay.
I wasn't going to Summerfest, and that Nikki hadn't been kidnapped, and,
Wow. What would you say is the status of these? I mean, I guess you said it's pretty hard for them to do anything. I guess they sort of filed a police report, opened a case in case, one of them was dumb enough to dox themselves or something.
Pretty much, yeah, that's about where it's at.
Really nothing else they can do, is there?
Not the local police, no. But I continue to collect the evidence. I continue to save and screenshot every time they text me and every time they email me. I've saved all the voicemails. This is all available.
Right.
I mean, there's thousands and thousands of them by now. Just
I'd
thousands.
imagine. Okay. I just wanted to shift gears a little bit. I know that you filed a lawsuit, a civil suit against them in January of this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this started in 2018. So what made you finally decide to take legal action against these people?
Because nothing else was working. I mean, they weren't letting off. They weren't getting the hints. The police, both local and federal, seemed either unable or, in the case of the FBI, uninterested. We were talking to an FBI agent about this last year, and she agreed that blatant criminal activity had occurred, that these people could be charged with conspiracy, they could be charged with cyber stalking, a number of other crimes, but that it didn't yet rise to the level of seriousness that, the Bureau would commit resources to. Not that she was unsympathetic, but she was just saying, look, I would not be able to get approval for this. Let me know when they've stolen more than $250,000 or somebody's been killed.
Wow.
I guess.
So wait until somebody gets killed before.
Yes, wait until they kill me, then I can open a case against them. Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, how did your lawyers react when you explained this to them? Like, had they ever seen this sort of thing before, or was this like
not nearly to this extent? In fact, I dare say no one has ever seen something like this. Not to this extent. Not that other people haven't faced, some months and sometimes years of cyber harassment. That certainly happens all the time, and it's a real and growing problem. But the simply clinical obsession that these people have with me,
Right.
is not something that anybody else has really seen.
Okay.
I mean, there's certainly people out there who have had like a stalker, you know,
Yeah.
like an ex or you know, somebody or a fan or something, and some of those cases have been extreme and they've gone on for years and sometimes decades. But this gang stalking, this, you know, hey, we are just going to form a community of like-minded cyberstalkers who will randomly pick a person with the intention of trying to destroy their life and drive them to kill themselves,
Right.
which is their stated public goal. I mean, they've said publicly and proudly that the purpose of all of this is to destroy my career, ruin my marriage, and drive me to kill myself. That's what everything they have done to me and to my family and to my friends and my colleagues is driving towards. They want death. They want to be the cause of a random stranger's death. That is their ultimate fantasy.
Wow.
And they're not alone. There's a website called, that you may be familiar with, or maybe hopefully not, but it's a website called Kiwi Farms, and there's an overlap between this group and the user base of Kiwi Farms.
Mm-hmm.
And Kiwi Farms is just a slightly larger, not so hyper focused. Like, they focus on a lot of different people, not just me personally. But that's what Kiwi Farms is. It is a cyber stalking website. It is a community of cyber terrorists and cyber harassers, and that is all they do. The website exists for no other purpose, and they keep a kill count of the people that they have driven to kill themselves, and they celebrate it. They just had another one a few weeks ago. It was
Nier.
It was a really famous, Nier, the video game emulator.
Yeah, the emulator guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that is the goal, the only goal they have.
Wow, that's pretty dark, to be honest with you. Did your lawyers tell you this would be like an uphill battle or sort of an open-closed case?
Yes. No, it's an open and closed case of whether or not crimes have been committed. I mean, it's simply true that these people are criminals.
But they have to find them first, right?
But finding them, yes.
Right.
Identifying them, yes. That is the uphill battle. And that's the battle that we're fighting right now, because a lot of the laws governing the internet were never, I mean, they're 20 years behind, and they had never envisioned something like this. You know, so the internet privacy laws make this very difficult. You know, the 270, which has been in the news off and on for the last couple of years, because Trump kept saying he was going to get rid of 270 so he could sue whoever he wanted, which actually wouldn't work out the way he thinks it would. But yeah, that usually frees platforms from any sort of liability for anything posted, for any content posted by their users. Which, in this case, you know, like in the cases of Twitter, if somebody goes, or Facebook or whatever, you know, somebody goes on and posts a video of, say, the Christchurch shooting, you know, well, that was that individual's decision, and Facebook certainly, or Twitter certainly didn't condone it, or know what was going to happen, or leave it up once it's up.
Yeah.
But yet, with onaforums.net, that website exists exclusively for no other reason than to continue to organize, plan, execute, and then brag about the outcomes of their ongoing terrorist campaign against me and my family.
Right.
It was created after they got kicked off of Reddit by my efforts. It was created after they had already been kicked off of other servers and other web hosts in both Iceland and Russia, because those hosts would not allow them to dox people, because doxing is illegal in both the Russian Federation and the EU, where it is not illegal in the US yet. So they had to move 4 times, and now they've moved again. onaforums.net just actually redirects, and they're all doing all their stuff on, what is it? new.onaforums.net or .com. I don't remember. I have to look it up. But anyway, so they keep moving as every legitimate website and every legitimate web host in the world stops putting up with their bullshit, because their bullshit is not only dangerous, it's in most cases blatantly illegal.
Yeah.
So this is a website created by a cyberstalker specifically to continue the illegal harassment campaign of one person, and yet the counter-side lawyers are arguing that they deserve 270 protections, and that their privacy and that their anonymity should be protected from me trying to figure out who they are so they can be deposed, so that we can figure out who the other members who have been committing all these crimes are.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I understand, I'm sorry.
It's like, which is insane. Like, you're telling me the person who is responsible for all of this, their privacy is more important than the privacy of mine and my friends and my family and my colleagues, that they have been violating every single day for 1,000 days. It's insanity.
Yeah.
But they're being allowed to argue that in court.
Mm-hmm.
It's insanity.
Yeah. And as I understand, they started harassing your lawyer as well, or you have several lawyers. Is that correct? And
I have several, and they have harassed every one of them.
And in what way have they harassed them? Has it been sort of the same thing, ordering food to their house and leaving negative reviews on their, I guess, whatever the lawyer equivalent of, whatever review site they're on?
It's all of the above. And I would not. I would respect the privacy of my various lawyers before sharing any of those details. But it is that, and it is much more.
Yeah, we're not going to publish any information about your lawyers, so just so you know that. What sort of financial toll has this legal battle taken on you? As I understand, you filed this in January, if I'm not mistaken, and they're making it very difficult because, as you said, there's a lot of legal grounds to respect their privacy, even though they've completely disrespected yours. How would you say?
I mean, we're currently fighting them in both Wisconsin and California because of the nature of the subpoenas that we've had to send in.
Yeah.
And this is not information that I would want published. I would like this to be off the record. But as of right now, we're closing in on $100,000 worth of legal expenses. And that's not including the fact that the person that we're trying to identify, Quasi 101, the person who administers and owns the website, he's incurred over $17,000 worth of legal bills in order to maintain his anonymity. Right. Even after we offered to keep him anonymous, if he would just give us identifying information for the people who we really want. He refused that, and he spent,
wow.
He spent $17,000 on it. But the reason he's done so is because in California, if you bring a civil suit or subpoena and it gets quashed, then you automatically owe the legal fees for the opposing counsel.
Right.
So there's a very real possibility that if this last set of judges here can't pull their heads out of their asses and see just how big of a problem this is, if they make a decision against us, that we'll owe another $17,000 to the person who has been terrorizing us every day for 3 fucking years. It's the most insanely broken thing I've ever heard of. And I'm a boring straight white male whose run-ins with the law have been limited mostly to speeding tickets and parking tickets. So I've never really experienced the judicial system other than a particularly unwanted divorce about 10 years ago. But that was a civil matter. Mm-hmm. And so the experience that this last in fact, actually, the lawsuit was originally begun back in October of last year, and it just took until January for them to collect all the evidence that they needed and get all the papers signed and get everything actually submitted and filed. So, I mean, we've been going on with this for months and months and months, and it just keeps getting more and more expensive. And now it looks like, I mean, I haven't given up hope, but it looks like there's a very good chance that not only are we not going to get the information that we need in order to identify and prosecute these people and get the injunctive relief that we need to legally order them to stop fucking doing this, but I'm going to have to pay him for the privilege of him running a website dedicated to trying to drive me to kill myself.
So there's a chance that the courts are going to take their side and make you pay them, is what you're saying?
Yes. A very real possibility.
That's unbelievable.
Yes, it is. It's certainly not something we thought was even a possibility when we began this.
Wow. Wow.
And it's all because we have a judge who's a judge pro tem in this case, who literally said he had to go talk after reading through the depositions and everything, or not the depositions, the motions. That he went and talked to his adult son about, what does this all mean? And he's like, oh, that's just internet trolling. So you got a judge who doesn't know fucking dick about the internet, doesn't understand the situation at all, doesn't understand the severity of it, thinking it's just harmless trolling like everybody goes through, when in fact what it actually is, it's fucking cyber terrorism.
So it appears that the people who call the shots and make the decisions don't really understand the issues at hand, is what you're saying.
In this case, not in the least. He is not the final judge to oversee this. That final judge, it's a different one, doesn't actually hear the case until later this month, and we're hoping that that person, whomever it may be, will be a little bit more hip to what's going on and maybe they actually read the goddamn filings.
Right. You said that he had to ask his son. That's correct?
Yeah.
How he told you that, or was this during a hearing? I'm sorry?
Yeah, he said it right out in the public hearing. Yeah.
Well, that seems like grounds for appeal. If
yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
If the judge, if the judge says I don't understand the issue, I had to ask my son. So I wouldn't give up.
So is your son an expert on internet culture? No? Okay, well then.
Well, even if he is, it's not up to the judge, or it's not up to the son. It's up to the judge. But I don't know.
But then the question there becomes, do we want to appeal? Yes. Could we realistically win an appeal? Yes, we believe so. How many tens of thousands of more dollars are we going to have to spend on that appeal? How many more months of this are we going to have to go on? And how many more thousands or tens of thousands of dollars is the other guy going to be willing to spend on the appeal process when he knows that if he wins, he ends up getting all that money back?
Well, did you expect him to? You said he spent over how much? I think you said like $17,000.
He is currently $17,000 in the hole, according to his most recent legal filing.
Did you expect any of these people to just have that money on them? I figure most of these people are not exactly cream of the crop people in terms of their careers. I don't mean to insult people who don't have tons of money, but
people who are successful people do not behave this way. I am fairly certain that this guy has maxed out a lot of credit cards or taken out some loans or borrowed money from family or something.
Right.
I don't. Most people don't just have $17,000 lying around for a rainy day in case they want to fight a subpoena.
Yeah.
It's just not something that happens.
Yeah, especially, somebody who's engaging in this kind of scumbag behavior.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing you.
I'm sorry.
Maybe
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just saying.
That's what.
I was just saying, you know, you. Well, actually, I guess this is a good question for you. If you have like a sort of image in your mind of, the demographic of these people in terms of what they're like, and in real life, if you were to dox any of them, how do you expect? How do you think they would be described?
Well, we're talking about fans of a shock jock radio show that has been off the air now for 8 or 9 years. So, I don't believe these are necessarily bored teenagers, down in their parents' basement. I mean, these are probably people in their late 20s to mid 40s, all men, like exclusively men, almost overwhelmingly white. They're white supremacists. They're disaffected. They're dissatisfied. They feel they don't have any. They don't feel that they have any power or community. So they made their own. And for a while there, they were the most hated and feared subreddit on the 5th largest website in the world. And they loved that power. And one of the reasons they hate me so much is that I took that away from them after they spent an entire year trying to fuck up my life.
You got them banned, what you're saying?
Yeah, I got the original Opie and Anthony subreddit, as well as dozens of others that popped up, just trying to replace it, permanently banned from Reddit. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just it really blows my mind that this person just has $17,000 lying around. I mean, did you expect that? Did your lawyers expect that? I figure most of these people probably work dead-end jobs. They're not exactly, really successful people. I mean, $17,000 is a lot of money. How do you?
Yeah.
Well, I guess
it's a ton of 17 grand is a ton of money for anyone but independently wealthy people. You don't just have that lying around usually. Not without dipping into your 401ks or other retirement savings. If you're lucky enough to have that, which is why I think it's very possible that he found a lawyer, and then that lawyer told him, "Hey, this is a nonsense lawsuit. This is a nuisance lawsuit, and whatever money you spend, we can take it from him." And so he was willing to put. I'm pretty sure he's gone enormously into debt over this. I of course have no way of knowing that for certain, but I'm pretty sure that he's put most of this on credit cards or taken out loans or borrowed money from someone in order to maintain this, with the promise to, either himself mentally or promise to family or friends or whatever that, hey, in a couple of months I'm going to get this all back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't think of any other possible explanation either. Yeah, that's really a shame. Well,
the other possibility is they're getting bankrolled by somebody.
Who do you?
That's not outside the realm of possibility.
Who do you think they would be getting bankrolled by?
There are a number of alt-right websites out there. There's a number of alt-right provocateurs out there who would be happy to see this sort of thing happening. There's, a hardcore First Amendment at all costs sort of network out there that maybe they could potentially be tapping into. I don't know. I don't have specifics. I certainly don't have fingers to point. And I don't believe that. I believe that is the least likely scenario, but it is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to shift gears a little bit. I don't have the tweet in front of me, but I do remember reading that you said something about how you were in contact with certain higher-ups, certain influential people who might be influencing certain congressmen or congresswomen to maybe end or limit Section 230 in order to prevent this from happening. Has there been any movement on that? Can you sort of tell us if you've been talking to anybody?
I have been in contact with people, a couple of them out in California who have some experience with this, who have been around the block on this, and are in contact with, not only their local legislators, but also some national level ones as well. And actually, President Biden, as part of his campaign, had and part of his platform for president, had put out a very strong statement saying that our Justice Department and our administration will be looking at ways to prosecute cyber stalking, cyber terrorism, and these sorts of crimes. They've obviously been focused on some other things since January 6th. So, I probably don't rise to the level of importance as getting rid of, or as prosecuting the insurrectionists. But I would like to think that at some point we might be able to have a conversation with someone, whether it be my local Congress people or Senator Baldwin, for example. But yeah, I think it's still a possibility.
I'm sorry, Senator Baldwin is your senator or representative or who is that?
Tammy Baldwin is my senator. My other senator is Ron Johnson, so he's less useful than tits on a floor.
Okay. All right. Okay. I appreciate all the answers to these questions. I just have one more for you, Patrick, and it is, if you could go all the way back to 2018 when this all started happening, when you first got on these people's radar, what would you do differently in dealing with them?
Not a single thing. Not one tweet, not one text, nothing. I would continue to go after them with everything I've got for as long as I can until they are done. And until some of them are in prison. And I will not rest. I have done nothing wrong. They picked me randomly.
You said they picked... Hello?
Yep, still here.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, that might be my connection. You said you do absolutely nothing wrong, and they picked you.
I said I would do, going back to this, I would do nothing different whatsoever.
Wow.
I have done nothing wrong at any point. They picked me randomly as a target, just as they've done to a dozen other people before they ever found me, thinking I was just going to be another easy punching bag for a little while, and they were fucking wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Patrick, and I definitely appreciate the time and answering all my questions. That's all the questions I have. We'll obviously show you the piece before it goes public. We'll let you comment on it, and there were definitely some things you told me that you don't want to be publicized, and we're definitely going to respect that. And
the less said about the lawsuit until it's resolved, the better. Especially as far as the figures involved. I guess I wouldn't be so worried about letting people know how much he's been willing to spend on keeping his identity secret, right. And the fact that there's a chance that the courts may side with him and say, yeah, this guy who runs this cyber stalking website, you owe him the equivalent of a small car. So
right. Well, this article is probably still more than a month out, so it's not unrealistic to think that the lawsuit will be either concluded or, I think the lawsuit will probably be concluded by the time this article comes out. So, and we're definitely going to keep the figures that you mentioned completely silent. We're not gonna make any mention of that. But I appreciate the insight, Patrick, and I appreciate you taking the time. So,
if I may ask, how did this all come up on your radar, Huffbo, in the first place?
It was actually just a few days ago, or maybe I should say about a week ago. We were going over the we were going after the suicide of the emulator guy, Near, and
Yeah.
we were sort of looking into the services that the owner of Kiwi Farms, Joshua Moon, I'm sure you're aware of him, and I guess
Quite.
one of the services he sells to monetize what he does is he offers web hosting to sites like O&A forums, and
Right.
so I think one of the people on our team sort of went down the rabbit hole, and it was worth making a story out of. But this article is still in its very beginning stages, so.
How long would you expect it to be? I've published pieces per like New York Times and The Hill before, so I have some idea how this process goes.
How long, in terms of how long before it's out, or how long will the article be?
No, like word count, like how long of a story would you expect it to be?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that. It honestly depends on how interested my superiors are with it. We're gonna have a meeting after I get off with you, probably tomorrow morning. So, I'll have to get back to you on that. But we'll definitely keep in touch. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
No, I'm good. Just keep me in the loop as far as where you are in the
Absolutely,
process. I would appreciate it.
absolutely,
All right.
and we'll definitely keep in touch. And Patrick, I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
All right. Thank you for your time today.
All right, take care.
Bye now.
All right, bye. Faggot.
A short time after this phone call, Patrick and Josiah would again exchange emails, and Patrick would agree to a second phone interview.
This is Patrick.
Hey, Patrick, this is Josiah again. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. I'm in a bit of a crowded space. I'm going to step outside for a moment. Give me just a second.
Oh, yeah. Take your time.
Okay, it's a little warmer out here, but this is better.
All right. Well,
Okay. Yeah. So no, it's the reopening night of one of my favorite spots in the city after they had a fire last November. So got to be here for the family.
Oh, the bar that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully I won't take too long or too much of your time then. So as with last time, just so we can get this out of the way, this is being recorded, obviously not for public release, but just for our reference, just to let you know that. And just to give you a little bit of background, I know we talked a little bit about this over email, but I played our interview from last time during our morning meeting, the morning after, and it definitely generated a lot of interest. I don't think a lot of people were fully aware of what was going on with this community. There's definitely a huge interest in the story, and possibly more than one part. You asked how long it was going to be. It's looking to be about 8,500 words as a gross estimate, though it's just right now we're in the beginning stages.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of.
I was thinking like 1,200.
No.
But okay, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things that we want to touch on there, and
and that's been, I mean, that's been my one of my points of frustration with this is that, like I've submitted around trying to get some interest in this because, like I mentioned the first time we spoke, like I've written for The Hill, U.S. News, New York Times, like terrorism in 800 words,
Right.
or 1,200 words. It's like there's no way for me to explain what's been happening in that sort of a span. So, yeah, 8,500 words is better.
Yeah, I think the thing is, this group isn't exactly notorious in the same way that, say, 4chan or Kiwi Farms is infamous. They haven't been in the news for, any bomb threats or anything of that nature. So it's
Well, and a lot of that is simply because they're so specialized. I mean,
right.
they just exist to fuck with me.
Yeah.
They're not going out looking for other targets. Like Kiwi Farms, like they've got, if you go on Kiwi Farms, they've got, page after page of people they're trying to fuck with. But it also kind of diminishes their impact on an individual basis. Not for everybody, obviously. Near being the most recent example. But they're more people end up knowing about them because they end up targeting and fucking with so many more people, so they come up more often.
Right. Exactly. And it looks like this group, it looks like the people in this group do a little bit better job tiptoeing the line of what's legal and what isn't legal and how to anonymize themselves and sort of spread out the illegality of what they're doing so that one person does part of it and then the next person does another piece of it. So it seems like it's very difficult to sort of pin anything.
Well, and that's exactly the problem that we're facing in California with the lawsuit right now. Is that they have it parsed out in such a way that, like, the person who explicitly started this web forum for the sole purpose of, and like they've admitted it, like, hey, this forum exists so that we can continue fucking with Patrick. This, he's like, I made this forum because, or I moved this forum to this new web host because the last web host wouldn't let us dox Patrick.
Right.
Or dox people because it was illegal in the EU. Like, Quasi 101, which is what their handle is on the forums. They know what this is, and they're not just an active participant in it. Like, they are the head of it. They are the ones. Like, this. If the forums disappear, this goes away overnight because they do this for the purpose of performative cruelty. Like, they need to be able to show each other what they've done. If they weren't able to do that, if they weren't able to brag, if they weren't able to show off, they wouldn't do it. Like, they do this to feed on each other, and Quasi knows that.
Mm-hmm.
But because Quasi has been very careful never to directly do anything to me, even though he's set up a place where he knows his friends are going to, it's becoming very difficult in the court in California for us to say, hey, he's one of them. Because then the judge is like, well, what did he do? And we're like, well, this website specifically for the purpose of continuing this illegal harassment. And then they bring up Section 230, and it's like, well, he's not responsible for, the posts of other people. It's like, this isn't Twitter. Like, he's not a neutral party. Anyway, I'm ranting. I apologize.
Right. No, I see what you're saying. He's, they're saying, because technically he hasn't broken the law, or technically he hasn't admitted to, or there's no direct evidence that he's engaged in any of the activity. Technically the judge's hands are tied is what it sounds like. That they can't really bring any action against Quasi 101 himself.
Their judge's hands are never tied. That's simply untrue. Like, a judge can look at something and go, all right, this may not be the letter of the law, but it's the spirit of the law, and I'm ruling this way, and you can fight it you can fight it later in an appeal.
Right.
We just happened to pick a judge a judge was picked out of the hat who had to ask his son what trolling means.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, so in our last interview, one of the last questions I asked you was if you could go back and change anything about what you did, would you do anything differently? And you said no. And
Yeah.
myself and people on my team have sort of gone down the rabbit hole in the past few days and sort of read tweets and forum posts and done a lot more research into this community and your response to the community. And it seems that the approach you're taking is sort of a much more offensive uh, approach than most people take. You know, most people, when they experience trolling like this, they tend to lock up. They might lock down their social media for a few days or a few weeks or however long it takes until it goes away. And you've sort of been a little bit more offensive in fighting after them. You know, you got their subreddits banned. You've gotten yeah, I mean, you've gotten, I think, over 100 or possibly several hundred of their subreddits banned, and as you just mentioned, you know, they've had to hop from community to or from web host to web host. And is this sort of is this something you would recommend to other people who are in a similar position, if they just want to be left alone? Or is this sort of you know, you're going after them not just to take out, not
This
just
is
to
not.
I'm sorry?
No, I was like, I know where you're going with the question. And my answer is pretty simple. This is not a normal trolling thing
Right.
that I and my family and my colleagues have experienced. This is not a normal trolling group. Most of the time, the right thing to do if you're getting dog piled on the internet for whatever reason, is probably just ignore it. Let it settle for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Come back in a few days or a week, because they will have moved on. That's not what gang stalking is. That's not what this group is, and never was. I mean, you can't just ignore them because
Mm-hmm.
they need me. I don't need them. I very much want to put all of them. Sorry, the incredibly obnoxious Harley Davidson rider. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
no, they need me. They need the interaction. They need the hit of adrenaline. This is all this group does. It does nothing else. It thinks about nothing else. So and I have ignored them for months at a time. You know, because everybody says just don't feed the trolls, but that's completely wrong advice for a situation like this. I mean, I've ignored them for months at a time, and it drives them crazy. They need the affirmation, and so when I ignore them, they double down, they triple down, they find new ways to attack me. They start attacking people around me.
Mm-hmm.
They force me to deal with them, and so I've had to deal with them every day for 3 fucking years now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't, they get worse. It's not like, you know, a lot of people have experienced getting dogpiled on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. You know, maybe they put out a tweet that had a bad take, and all of a sudden they've got 1,000 comments, and most of them are negative. You know, those people are not being gang stalked. They're getting dogpiled on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. Those people, shut down for a little bit. It's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, whatever. People have short attention spans. It'll be forgotten in a couple days. People will have moved on to the next outrage, and they'll never think about you again.
Right.
That's not what's happening here. That's not who these people are. They have for years, long before they ever found me, they have just decided as a group what target they're going to go after, and they will hound them to the ends of the earth until they either delete their social media accounts, which is not an option for me in my career, or in several cases now, as we've seen with kiwi farms, end it.
Right.
End it all.
Right.
So, like the last person that they went after was a singer-songwriter out of Portland, Oregon, named Logan Lynn. And they went after him just because he's proudly and publicly and unashamedly gay. And he's awesome. Like him and I have gotten to know each other because of this situation. And he's a great guy. There was never any reason to go after him. But they did because they're homophobes and transphobes and anti-Semites and everything. This isn't something you can ignore.
Right.
It doesn't just go away. Like you can stop responding, you can stop replying, you can shut everything down, and they're just going to keep hounding you forever until they read your obituary.
Right. Yeah, and actually,
and I mean that literally. I mean, they've gone after the online obituaries of my family members. They've attacked the online obituaries of people who were of colleagues of mine.
Right.
Just because this is the level of inhumanity and cruelty that these people find so fucking funny. It's just the funniest thing in the world to them. My father-in-law passed away 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was already cremated 2 years before these people had ever heard of me.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought it was hilarious to go onto his online obituary page and leave anti-Semitic messages and say and pretend to be people who were gang banging my wife, his daughter, and to go on and pretend to be me so that it looked like I was insulting my own father-in-law after he passed away. I mean, this is what funny looks like to these people. They're not human.
Right. Yeah, and actually the reason I asked that is because me and other people on my team, we sort of went down the rabbit hole looking at some of these other victims of theirs or some of their targets, so to speak. And, we're sort of, as you mentioned, this isn't a typical trolling group where you just ignore it and it goes away. And the other example that I was going to bring up is that of one of their other victims, Joseph Cumia, who's apparently the brother of Anthony Cumia, the one of the radio hosts on Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
And, he apparently ignored them or tried to ignore them. And I guess from what I see here, they pretty much destroyed his music career. He ignored them, and I guess ignoring isn't enough with this community. He ignored them, and they went after his music career, and they pretty much destroyed it. He can't post any of his gigs online anymore. He can't really have an online presence or advertise or anything. Whereas, taking your approach, since this is a unique group, you sort of took a more offensive approach than one would, reasonably take against a normal trolling group. And it looks like, you're still an author. As far as I can tell, you're still selling books. I don't think, at least I can't really tell, maybe you can help me out with this, whether they've affected your book sales or anything like that, or your ability to hand sell or...
Oh, I mean, not so much my ability to hand sell, but like they've everything they could to ruin by posting literally thousands of fake reviews on Goodreads and dozens or hundreds of fake reviews on Amazon in the hours or days immediately after release. I'm certain they had a measurable impact on my book sales. Because, day of release, people see promotions for a book, and they go to Amazon to try and order it, and it's sitting at 1.2 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to have some fucking impact.
Right.
Yeah, no, like they have absolutely had an impact on my writing career. They've made it more difficult for me to get new contracts. There's no doubt about that. Just not even necessarily from a sales standpoint, but like, my last two publishers, have gotten emailed death threats. Like, and they've been trashed on they've been trashed on social media by these people and attacked. Like, it's just like, even if I was selling incredibly well, like, it would make editors and people in acquisitions, like, it would make them second guess whether or not they wanted the trouble.
Right.
Which has nothing to do with me or the quality of my work, but whether or not the fact that bringing me on also means bringing these motherfuckers into the fold,
Yeah.
whether they were invited or not. That's going to be a consideration, and that's going to be a consideration of, until they're stopped, that's going to be a consideration whenever whenever my agent's out trying to negotiate new contracts, and how big my advance is, how many books are going to be in the series. Like, we're experiencing those issues right now.
Right.
So.
Okay. Definitely noted that. I just wanted to transition to something else. A few days ago, I spoke with an individual who wishes not to be named, who's apparently been...
The mole.
Yeah, the mole. Apparently, according to him, you have a few of these people's real names, including Quasi 101, including his real name and information, and also apparently a club owner in New York City named Chris Italia, and a former police officer named Kenyon Boykin. And
Kenyon Boykin's identity, I'm as I said in the email, I'm 95% certain on that one.
Uh-huh.
1 second.
Yeah.
Kenyon Boykin's identity. He posed as Space Edge, and he is by far one of the worst offenders. I mean, he has committed crimes. He needs to see jail time for what he's done to me and my family and my friends and colleagues. He's the one who doxes everyone's information. Like, when someone says something nice to me on Twitter or stands up for me on Twitter, he's the one that goes, searches them out, doxes their home address, doxes their phone number, doxes all their family connections, so that people can then himself included, can begin text harassing and threatening and intimidating them. He's done this dozens and dozens of times to dozens and dozens of people. This man is a sociopath. I mean, they all are to one degree or another, but he is one of the most active of them.
Right.
Now, Quasi's identity, I am less, like, we have some info on that, but I am less confident of it.
Uh-huh.
We have a screen grab from their private forums that shows an envelope that purports to have his name and address on it. In an accidental doxing sort of thing. I'm much less confident of that one. With Canyon, like, we've seen other members of the forums accidentally let slip that he was a cop. We've seen other members of the forums accidentally let slip, his initials CB. Right. And we've seen him, we've seen him through the forums in the secret place where they didn't think we could see. We've seen him, brag about being a cop. We've seen him during the Chauvin trial, about how much he hated N-words, and how, all these N-words just come flocking, and the policeman always gets the bad end of it.
Right.
And say how his life was almost ruined in exactly the same way as what happened with George Floyd.
Right.
And then when someone called, when another journalist called the number that was uncovered for him, he went on the forums, the secret part of the forums that he didn't know we had access to, and started freaking out. So his identity, I am very confident in. At this point, I would be shocked if it's not Canyon Boykin. And
Right.
he absolutely fits the profile. He's a white supremacist. He's a fascist. He's a racist. He's in his early 30s now. He's, as far as we can tell, he's unemployed. He's living off of his wife's income. He's got all the time in the world, and he probably still has access to these old law enforcement databases that he had when he was a cop, which explains how he doxes everybody within a couple of minutes, like all their information. Because it makes too much sense.
Right. And apparently he killed somebody, right? That's why he's no longer a cop.
Yes, back in 2015, he was involved in a traffic stop that ended in the death of a black motorist named Bell. He was actually, back in 2015, he was not only fired, but then he was charged and arrested for it. I believe the following year. There's shots of him. There's mug shots of him. There's shots of him being held, being walked out in handcuffs. He actually got off on that charge last year when a new Republican, what am I trying to say?
But district attorney or something?
No, shit. Come on, Patrick, you know what I mean.
Somebody who could pardon him, or a judge?
Like the top attorney in the state. I can't. Why? I am totally blanking on that.
Attorney General?
Attorney General. Thank you.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Yeah. So a new Republican Attorney General was elected in his state, and vacated the prosecution for this. Canyon claims that Bell had a gun, but conveniently his body camera footage was turned off for the entire encounter, which is what he wasn't actually fired for killing the guy, but he was fired for not following procedure with regards to the body camera.
Right.
But he was arrested on a manslaughter charge. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there was something fairly serious going on there, and then it was just swept under the rug by a new Republican Attorney General just this last June of last year.
And so this is the guy who is who's doxing everybody. Okay.
This is the guy who doxes everybody. This is the guy this is one of the people who texted me. I know a bunch of the texts that I sent you earlier today were from him, because he posts them on the new forums to brag about it. Mm-hmm. He's the one who went to my friends who was suffering from depression and suicidal ideation, and through text messages demanded that he kill himself. This is the guy who went to that same friend's brother and accused his own brother of pedophilia and tried to get his own family to turn against him in the aftermath of his mother's death. This man is a sociopath.
Right.
He is fucking evil, and I will not rest until he is in prison for all of this.
Right. Now, with regards to Rahul Kumar, as I understand it, from what the mole told me, or what he showed me with screenshots, there are actually references to his real name on the secret forum as well, with his address, and we did look up in some open records. I believe he lives in New York, and there is a Rahul Kumar that matches up exactly with that address. And so, but you're saying you're not too certain that it's him?
I am less certain of that one. I mean, the evidence that I've seen with Canyon Boykin would for me personally, it would be enough to write a story or even to affect an arrest warrant.
Right.
With Kumar, I'm not saying it's wrong. It very well could be right, but instead of like 95% confident, I'm 60.
Okay.
I would need to see some more there.
All right, that makes
sense.
But
that's me personally. I mean, you guys can come to whatever conclusion you want.
Okay. Now, apparently there was a club owner named Chris Italia who who had an account there using the name Toxic Cis White Male Fat, and there was another
Yeah.
journalist. I forget which publication he writes for, but he wrote a similar story on O&A forums, and right after he wrote that story, this individual deleted his account and hired a bunch of lawyers and sort of clammed up.
Yeah, that was on the New Republic, and the guy's name is Seth Simmons.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, Seth is the one who reached out to Canyon Boykin's phone number, trying to get his side or whatever. When Space Edge on the private forum freaked out and was like, "Oh my God, Seth just called me. He figured it out." That kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Which again contributes to why I'm so confident of that ID.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, Chris Italia. I mean, I know of that, and the Toxic Cis White Male or whatever that username was also. Good night, guys. He was also, involved with all the stuff against me, but not like one of the big players. Like I wouldn't. I think that Steph has a heck of a lot more reason to be cross with Chris Italia than I do. There's a handful of people and a handful of usernames that I want to see brought to justice over this, and he just wasn't enough of a player in my own part of the story to warrant much attention.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so my next question is, aside from what the mole sends you, how do you keep tabs on these people? Because not anybody can just see these forums. You have to create an account, and I had to be given a sort of secret answer to a secret question just to make an account here, just so that I could see what's on these forums. Do you have an account on the O&A forums to sort of keep track of what they're doing, or do you sort of just wait to be contacted, or wait for one of you?
I do not, and I never have. I've never had an account there. I've never gone there. But there are other people who this group has attacked. Some of them as collateral damage for trying to get after me. And they've made an awful lot of enemies along the way. People who are just as personally invested as I am in seeing this group be exposed and identified and taken down. And those people, several of them, have accounts. And whenever they do something, whenever it looks like they're about to start a new front or a new type of attack, or when they've bragged that they've successfully done something, I get PMs and emails and screenshots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what do your friends, family, lawyers, anybody who you talk to about this situation, how do they what do they think of your approach to dealing with these people are? Do they think that you should ignore them? Are they in favor of your proactive approach? What do they think of all this?
Well, my friends and family, for the most part, know that they're not going to control me in any way. Anyway, but they have seen over the year, I mean, literally years now, that this is not the usual group of trolls, and that the normal advice of, don't feed the trolls, just ignore them for a few days, does not work here. Everybody, myself included, would love it if I didn't have to spend as much time on this as I do. I would love to just get back to writing books full time instead of also having to defend my reputation, for at least an hour a day every day. and that's time being stolen from my workouts. But like my wife and my immediate family and her immediate family recognize the need for it, because like I said earlier in the interview, this group you can't ignore, because they'll just run wild. They'll just run absolutely wild.
Right.
So, and my approach has gotten results. Like their most powerful, the pinnacle of their power was their subreddit.
The subreddit, yeah.
They had 30,000 subscribers. They had tons and tons of engagement. They were the most feared and hated subreddit on the entire website. Like, actually voted twice to be the most hated subreddit, which they kept as a point of pride.
Mm-hmm.
That was taken away from them because of my proactive efforts, and that's why they're still so utterly, clinically obsessed with trying to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
Is because I hurt them when no one else ever had.
Right. So there isn't anybody sort of pushing back against your proactive approach, especially your lawyers. I'm sort of thinking of. They aren't telling you to just leave it alone.
My lawyers would like me to, the advice that they always give everybody is to, stop engaging and break off and don't do that. But we've had conversations where I'm like, listen, this is not anything you've dealt with before, and the approach to dealing with it is going to have to be different. So they understand that.
Right.
I wouldn't say they're 100% happy with it,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be able to adapt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And this is, we've taken this group from 30,000 people to a couple. I mean, if you're dicking around in the forums, you see especially on the new forums, the engagement's pathetic. There's a couple dozen left, and once we actually identify and publicly name at least even a couple of them, and they realize that this shit is real, that it will affect their real lives, that they will be named, and it's going to start affecting their jobs, it's going to start affecting their families, it's going to start affecting their futures. Basically, it's going to start affecting them in all the ways that they have been trying to hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Once that sinks in, the rest of them are going to scatter. I mean, they've been losing support and losing adherence at a steady clip this entire time. Every time they have to move to a new forum, engagement goes down, usership goes down.
Right. Okay. Now, with regards to this lawsuit, I know there's a hearing coming up in a few weeks, and you mentioned this judge doesn't exactly seem to see eye to eye with you, or at least he doesn't think that Quasi 101 is in any way responsible for, what these.
The judge is looking at this. The judge pro tem is looking at this entirely too narrowly, and he's looking at it with, the perspective of someone who is not an internet native.
Right.
And I'm certainly not trying to be ageist here, but he did not grow up in this environment.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand it, and hence why he's going and asking his son what trolling means. And his son, who I'm also not faulting, but his son, I'm sure, is not a noted internet expert, who also probably didn't read the case brief and doesn't understand the true depth of the depravity of what's going on here. Gave it the standard trolling answer. So the judge is working off of an understanding of the case that does not line up with the facts.
Right. So, I guess my question to you
But
then.
He's just the judge pro tem. He's not even the judge that's going to be
making a decision.
That's going to be presiding over the final hearing.
Right. Okay. So, when this after this hearing is over, if things go your way, and you do get Quasi's identity, how do you plan on proceeding? Are you, even though you've already apparently spent all this money, do you plan on continuing to go forward with the case. And if things don't go your way,
I mean, the strategy will be up as far as the legal strategy will be up to my lawyers. This is their environment, and I'm letting them take points on it.
Mm-hmm.
So once they have, which sucks because it would have cost me a whole lot less to get some black hat hackers or black hat hackers to just go and get me the answers I needed.
Right.
It would have cost me a whole lot less to pay some people, some programmers to go and screw with the base code of their forums and shut them down or pull their user data. It would have cost me a lot less to do this the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm the target. I don't get to do things the way they do. I have to do them the right way.
Yeah. So you're gonna essentially just do whatever your lawyers say? I mean, what if you get Quasi's info and your lawyers tell you it's not worth it? Are you gonna just go with that?
And if we get his identity, then we get to depose him.
Right.
And we get to ask him under oath, to use the actual real world names of the people who, like Canyon Boy, but we haven't named him publicly yet because we haven't, as certain and confident as I am, the evidence that we have identifying him probably wouldn't pass muster in a court of law yet.
Right.
Which is why we continue to go after Quasi, because he knows. He knows all. He personally knows all the big players, and he can identify all of them.
In real life.
And so that's the goal. Yes, in real life. He said so.
Okay.
And these people have been like the weird little dark circle of cyber stalking hell together for 5 to 7 years at a minimum. Yeah, they know who each other is.
Right.
But until we can get Quasi identified and deposed under oath, I mean that's what needs to happen so that we can go after the ones who, have been text harassing me and my family every day for over 2 years.
So
that's when we can identify the people who made false reports to the Milwaukee police and got my house swatted.
Right.
That's when we can start identifying the actual criminals.
Mm-hmm.
Not just civil suits, actual criminals.
Criminal suit. From what I understand, this subpoena that's being contested in California, that was one of 4 websites that got subpoenaed. Have you gotten any identifying information from, it looks like Encyclopedia Dramatica, Kiwi Farms, or PatrickSTomlinson.net?
I don't believe my lawyers would like that information.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to answer anything that would hurt your case. Let's see here. This might be the same answer, but we were looking for anything you had in terms of I think you said you had video surveillance of somebody trespassing on your property and vandalizing it.
Yes.
And
yes, we do.
if you could email that to us, that would be extremely helpful. It's up to you, obviously. Let's see here.
I will confer about that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, we certainly have it.
Yeah, definitely get approval from your lawyers before anything. Let's see here. Okay, we did read the complaint. We didn't get to see the exhibits, but we did get to see who the John Does were. And we were wondering about certain people who appear to have committed defamation against you, but were not named in the suit. There was a somebody who makes video games, Child Spit Game Studios, who apparently made um apparently did like your two previous books, Starship Repo and In the Black, made like extremely offensive adaptations. And there's also a song
Yep.
parody artist, Motley Pooh, who
Yep.
does similar things. I was wondering if you were planning on pursuing action against either of those people.
It's simply a question of money. You know, like how like we have to pick our battles on this stuff.
Right.
And, you know, are those people equally guilty? Yes, absolutely. But you know, as we're learning here in California,
Pick your
this isn't
battles.
just time consuming. It's incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculously expensive. And now with the the outside possibility that they may actually rule that I owe Quasi money, which he will never see a penny of from now until the heat death of the universe. No, he wanted to spend 17 grand to remain anonymous. Fine, but I will never, under any circumstances, give you a cent of that back. You spent it. That's yours. That's on you.
Even if the judge orders you?
Don't care. Not happening. No, I'm not going to pay my abuser. That's not going to happen.
Right. Okay.
That's what the appeals process is for.
Yeah. All right. Those are all the questions I had, Patrick. Today's Friday, so we're probably going to have a meeting about this Monday morning. But I'll definitely keep in touch with you about that. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time and answering our questions. And this is looking to be a very interesting story, to say the least.
It's been less interesting living it. I'll say that much. But
Yeah. No, I can completely empathize. And actually, there's not going to be any authors named in this article for that exact reason. We don't want this group of people going after these people, going after the authors, going after their families, their funeral pages, that sort of thing. It's we've never seen anything like it before.
That's a very wise precaution to take.
Yeah.
In fact, I would probably add a line like that in there. Like, this is being posted, or this has been authored anonymously because this group is so outside the bounds that, we wouldn't be able to safely put our name to this article.
Right. Yeah. All right, Patrick. That's all I have. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thank you much.
All right.
And I would add that towards the end there, me saying I will never pay Quasi even ordered to, I would like that not to be included in the article, because even though it's my true feelings, that might be
Obviously.
actionable.
Yeah, we also have our own lawyers who look over this stuff, so we're definitely not going to release anything or put anything into the article that would hurt you. Even if you don't ask for it, we're still going to have our own lawyers to look over it and make sure there's nothing that would hurt any of the protagonists in this story.
Well, I appreciate that. It's just, the fact that that's even a possibility.
Yeah. No, I totally understand.
Just so blows my mind that we've, that the court system is so intrinsically broken that they could look at it. But in the defense of the judge who wrote pro tem, who has so far heard the case, I mean, even in the first hearing, he had said he doesn't support sanctions. And that would probably be his recommendation, even if he does decide that Quasi's privacy is more important than mine.
Right.
And that gives us the possibility of some leverage too, because like we said in the first call, he didn't just have fucking almost $20,000 sitting around. He's put it on a credit card. He's loaned it. He's borrowed it from family. All assuring everybody or assuring himself in the case of a credit card that, this is just for a couple months and you'll get it all back. So if he really does end up taking that hit, or looks like he's going to take that hit, especially if we can go back and say, okay, well, we didn't get it the first time, so now we're going on appeal, pay up some more. Psychologically, I think that's going to wear him to the point, and financially too, frankly, I think it's going to wear him to the point that he folds. Which it turns out, as I'm learning, is all the civil court system is. It's just a question of who's got enough money and staying power.
Right.
Doesn't have anything to do with who's right. Doesn't have anything to do with who's been wronged. Just whether or not you got enough money to play the game.
Well, would you, I don't want to get too personal, but would you have the resources to appeal that? I don't know how you're financing it, if you're taking out loans or whatever it is, but I mean, would that be a possibility for you?
We aren't paying a penny.
Oh, this is insurance or something like that?
No, they have made enough enemies of enough people.
Okay, I won't.
Some of them are pretty.
All right. Well, that's
not coming out of my wallet. This is not coming out of my wallet. They think it is.
right.
They think they're continuing to hurt me, but they're wrong.
Well, that's good to know. That makes me feel a little bit better at least. But well, Patrick, I wish you the best of luck, and we'll be keeping in touch. Okay?
Sounds good. Are you still thinking like 4 weeks or so? Because I mean, an 8,500 word article, that's going to take time to write. Obviously, then you have to go through all the other different levels. So I'd imagine it's going to be somewhat time in the process.
Probably. We still have a lot of research to do. It's a little bit difficult because their previous forums don't exist anymore. So,
well, we've got screenshots of just unimaginable amounts of stuff from those.
Right.
Between me and the people who have been watching them for me.
Yeah.
So, if at any point you feel that you want something or need something, just like I said in the last couple emails, just reach out and I can dig it up.
Anything you can send us, especially with regards to the real life stalking, if you have, for instance, you said there was a person who committed vandalism on your property, that'd be extremely helpful. I can get you more specifics probably on Monday after our meeting.
All right. Like I said, I will confer as to whether or not we should be releasing that footage at this point. But it's been at least a few months now, because that was back in spring.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Definitely get the lawyer's permission first.
Personally, I have no objection to releasing the footage or the images of the vandalism. I don't have any problem with that. But I don't want to. There's people who are being paid a lot of money to represent us, and I don't want to make their jobs harder.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll definitely keep in touch, Patrick, and I appreciate all your help.
I appreciate all the time you guys are putting into this. It's nice to have some people actually paying attention after we've been screaming into the void for the last 3 years.
Yeah. Well, no problem. It's our pleasure, Patrick, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Enjoy your weekend.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Faggot.
Following the second Josiah call, Patrick and Josiah continued to talk over email, exchanging information about the supposed forum drama that was occurring with O and A. This drama, staged by Thomas Apostle, was simply subterfuge to distract and mislead Patrick. At one point during these exchanges, Patrick would share his evidence folder with Josiah. The The folder featured various screenshots of emails and text messages, as well as an Excel spreadsheet titled Subpoena Fuel that contained random IP addresses belonging to people that had visited a website belonging to one of Patrick's Twitter followers. Of course, none of this information ever led to anyone being identified, and it seems like Patrick enjoyed playing Secret Agent online while cluelessly trying to dox his trolls. If you wish to see just how retarded Patrick and his investigative skills are, a full zip file of his evidence folder can be found on apostlegate.net in the article titled Chapter 5 Civil War at the California Quash Smackdown. A short time after this all unfolded, Patrick and Josiah would hold another phone interview session to discuss the developments.
Hello?
Hey, Patrick, it's Josiah. How are you?
Yes, hi. I'm well. Just a second, I'm going to step outside. It's pretty loud in here.
All right. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, that's much better.
Perfect. So I understand there's been some pretty big developments over the past couple of days. Can you sort of explain that?
Yeah, I mean, I sent you some screen grabs, but without the context, probably doesn't help too much. Basically, what's happening is that two of the power users on the forums, namely Quasi, who is the administrator, Quasi 101, that is,
Right.
and then Space Edge, who has been the chief, one of the chief harassers and doxers for going back for more than a year and a half now, have been coming to blows. Space Edge believes that Quasi has worked either with another journalist named Seth Simmons or with my lawyers to sell out and give up the identities of at least several of the most prolific of the forum users. This isn't actually true, but that's what he's got in his head. So we're just gonna let him keep having that in his head. But anyway, so because of this, they've been getting increasingly angry with each other, and there's a growing rift amongst community. And now that Canyon Boykin, who is the actual real life ID of Space Edge, believes that his information is getting out there, he's been much less careful about what he's saying in the group chats. So what's happened is we found out that what you and I had talked about it the last time we spoke. Sorry, a second. What you and I had talked about the last time we spoke about the possibility that Quasi was being funded from outside. Well, it turns out that's true, and we even know who's doing it. His name is Chris Italia, and he is the owner of The Stand, New York City, which is a comedy club that has been closely aligned with the alt-right. So Chris Italia is actually the one who has been fronting most of, if not all of the money for Quasi 101's legal defense. But what's more, Canyon Boykin and several other people on the boards, like longtime members of the board, like user Coonskin and Carol Maxine, they have inadvertently confirmed, for me at least, what Quasi 101's identity is as well. Because we had a screen grab from a while ago, with the mole that you had been talking about and talking to, where he had gotten a screen grab of an envelope that had the name of Raul Kumar on it, and as well as an address there in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And as I told you before, I was much less confident about that ID as I was with Canyon Boykin. But that's no longer the case, because Canyon, as well as several other people, have in those shots that I sent you, been using really anti-Indian slurs specifically against Quasi.
Against Quasi, yeah.
So, and between that and the fact that we now know that Chris Italia, being in New York City, is the one who's been funding this whole thing, to me, that's confirmation that this, Indian American named Rahul Kumar, who lives not even a mile away from the Stand Comedy Club,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can call that a positive identification at this point.
Interesting. So, do you believe Rahul and what was his name? Chris Italia? You think they know each other in person, and they're sort of buddied up? Okay, that's very interesting. So does this sort of turn the tables at all regarding your lawsuit in any way? How does this?
I don't know how much it's going to help the lawsuit, but now in a lot of ways the lawsuit is moot because at least this phase, the point of the lawsuit was to get Quasi 101's identity so that we could depose him,
Right.
and get confirmation of people like to make sure that it is Canyon Boykin that we were dealing with. Well, that's done now. At least to my satisfaction, that's done. So the next phase, no longer rests on the outcome of this round of subpoenas and hearings that are going on in California and Wisconsin.
So that's good news then. So you're going to be able to, I guess, subpoena Rahul and depose him and find information on the rest of the members of the website?
Possibly.
If that's what I understand.
Yeah, and this is all going to be up in the air. I mean, our next hearing is on the 23rd, and the outcome of that hearing will determine whether or not we actually end up owing Rahul his legal fees of $17,000, which now we know is actually money that he owes to Chris Italia.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of ways, even that's moot, because now, either with this article that you're writing, or if I just decide to go scorched earth, they're going to be named publicly anyway, which is what all of these people have been desperate to avoid, especially Canyon Boykin with his history, because, we don't know what he's doing for work anymore, but if it comes out that, oh, hey, here's this disgraced ex-cop who probably got away with manslaughter of a black motorist, now it turns out 5 years later, almost 6 years later, he's moonlighting as a cyber terrorist. I mean, that's going to be a big fucking story.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that gets national, if that, ends up on national television.
Right. Okay.
And Canyon has taken great pains to avoid being identified. And also, because of the last time he went through this, so he was dragged through the national media back in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's tried very hard to keep, he has no real social media presence, other than the occasional picture on his wife's Instagram account and Facebook. She does very little other than just post pictures of their kids. They aren't out there. They've done their best to scrub their numbers and their address and everything from all corners of the internet, so they're much harder to find. Presumably because they're just trying to put the whole thing with the death of Bell back in 2015,
right,
out of the public eye. Because the last time he just got dragged all to hell and back, which would completely happen again as soon as he's named. And he knows that. That's why he's so scared.
Right. Now you said that the true source of this information is not Quasi or Rahul, but rather it's the mole. So can you sort of
yes, correct.
Can you sort of give more details about how valuable the mole's information has been, in terms of your fight against this community?
Well, I mean, the mole has been the only source that we've had for any sort of information inside of their like inner circle. Because they'd have secret forums or secret chats set up that were not publicly visible, which is how they would coordinate a lot of their stuff. But then also it's been able to give us insight into the group's thinking at any given time. Because they put on the really brave, bold face, and they aren't afraid of anything, and they're invincible.
Right.
Blah blah blah. But in reality, like once this lawsuit got started, they were scared shitless.
Mm-hmm.
And they put on a brave face for the public side, but on the private side, I mean, that's the only reason you spend $17,000 of someone else's money, it turns out, to try and keep your identity secret. Like these guys have been freaking out for months over this stuff.
Right. Yeah, and actually, I noticed that Time had actually published an article about you either yesterday or the day before about the harassment. Yeah, yesterday. And it seems like they specifically target sci-fi and fantasy authors. Do you know why it is that they seem to go for that specific genre?
Well, it's not specific to sci-fi and fantasy authors. I mean, this group that we're talking about does because they're trying to destroy me and my reputation and my career.
Hmm.
But other unaffiliated groups of stalkers and scammers and things like that, they go after whatever genre they want.
I see. Well, what role would you say the science fiction writers of America played in helping you fight these trolls? I know that they helped in getting in touch with the higher ups at Goodreads. And how valuable have they been in your fight against this group?
No, I mean, immensely. If it hadn't been for some of their kind of backdoor contacts into the administration staff at Goodreads,
Mm-hmm.
there'd still be literally thousands of fake reviews. Just absolutely wrecking my ratings and my
Right.
and all on all of them across all 6 of my books. So and not just on Goodreads, but also on Amazon and other sites as well. So without that resource, I wouldn't have any. It would be an enormously uphill battle trying to continue my career.
Right. Let's see here. I had a few more questions actually. Earlier in the call, you mentioned 2 other users. One, I believe, named Coonskin, if that's correct, and
Yeah.
another
Yeah,
Carl
that's one of them.
Maxini. Can you sort of explain their role?
Carl Max Heine. Yeah.
Okay, can you sort of explain their role in the forums and what they've done to affect your life?
I mean, it's the same sort of thing. They're there to contribute to the harassment campaign. They're there to send harassing texts and leave harassing voicemail. Carol Maxini, however they're pronouncing that, is particularly obsessed with the outright lie that I have that I cheat at the half marathons that I run. They claim to have discovered concrete evidence that at the 2016 Brewers Mini Marathon that I skipped timing math and I don't appear in certain places where photographs are being taken, and therefore I must have cut the course. Even though that was by far my worst marathon time, because I actually about 5 miles into it I stepped off of a curb wrong and twisted one of my ankles pretty good. So I ran like the last 8 miles on wincing. Walked. And like there's absolutely no way they could see the timing, that data. That's simply not public. There's no way that, like every runner does not get, out of 5,000 people, they don't get taken, not everyone gets their picture taken at every photography spot. That's just not how any of this works. And I ran the entire race with, with a close friend who I've run several half marathons with. We didn't cut the course. We didn't cheat. There'd be no reason for me to cheat just so I could get a 2-hour and 40-minute time on a half marathon. I mean, these people are just completely nuts.
Yeah. Right. Have you, now that it seems at least a few of them are going to be identified, have you thought about what you're finally going to say to them once you see them face to face, maybe even in a courtroom?
Well, I'm hoping it's in the context of a criminal trial, especially in the case of Kenyon Boykin, because he has doxed dozens and dozens and dozens of people. He has been part of a conspiracy to harass, through the telephone and through fax, dozens of people. He's tried to intimidate dozens of people. A friend of mine, in fact, Paul Weimer, who I gave him your email address, so hopefully he'll be reaching out. But he's dealt with suicidal ideation over the last couple of years for a reason, a number of reasons that are no fault of his own. People know that. And Kenyon Boykin bragged openly about sending Paul texts demanding that he kill himself, and bragged about the fact that he was trying to convince Paul's brother that Paul's a pedophile, which is a complete lie. Like, this man is a criminal.
Yeah.
And he's already literally gotten away with a murder from the looks of it, and now he's moonlighting, as I said earlier, as a fucking cyber terrorist. Like, I absolutely want to see him. I want to see him as he sits behind his desk while I'm sitting on the witness stand explaining all of his crimes to the jury. That's what I want to have happen.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely understandable. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. No, that was it.
Okay. All right. Well, Patrick, we did have a meeting yesterday morning, just to discuss the status of the article, and one major point that our managers brought up. I don't know where you are in terms of conferring with your lawyers, but we were sort of discussing, what it would take to have our readers sort of take this seriously and sort of see it for what it is. And as I understand, you have a video of one of these stalkers coming onto your property and vandalizing it. And if we could show that to our readers, that would be, pretty invaluable in terms of getting people to read our article, and in terms of coverage, and getting people to pay attention to your story. So I don't know where you are in terms of conferring with your lawyer, but if you could get that to us, that would be extremely helpful for the article.
When do you believe this article might go live? I mean, what's the publication time frame?
I'm thinking probably 3 to 4 weeks.
So early to mid-September?
Yeah, it's if you need to hold on to it for a little while, that's okay. Especially if you have to go with what your lawyers say. Everything I'm saying, I'm just telling you what my bosses are saying, but you have to go with what your lawyers.
I'm thinking I would probably feel better handing it over after our next hearing, which is in 2 weeks.
Okay, and that's in 2 weeks. Okay, so that would be perfect. Okay, I just wanted to relay.
On the 23rd.
All right, yeah, I just wanted to relay that message to you. And is there anything else you had to add? Is there anything that maybe any questions I haven't asked you, or anything else that you had to say about this group?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm actually, the revelation about Chris Italia is very interesting to me. That funding this from the outside, but it fits kind of nicely with what we know about his history. And the other thing is, there appears to be, although they're unnamed at this point, there appears to be a video game developer at Rockstar Games who is also kind of a silent partner in all of this. And so, this starts that kind of smack of a Gamergate version 2.0 sort of thing, and then also, with all the toxicity culture that was out of like Bethesda games that has been in the news the last couple of weeks here with the with the strike and everything, that puts a very interesting wrinkle on all of this as well.
Right. Now, Chris Italia used to be a member of the forums, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so that probably would be his motivation in, or maybe that would be.
And he may still be under a new username, but yeah, we know he used to be, just based on an article from Seth Simmons that was in the New Republic a few months back now. Yeah, we know he was a user, a pretty big one. Not one that did much, as far as I can tell, not one that did anything other than just point and laugh and be supportive of all the terrible things that they were doing to us. So it's not exactly a situation where I can pin any particular heinous act against me or my family on Chris, other than just he was there pointing and laughing and saying, yeah, keep going, and encouraging the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. That's all the questions I have for today, Patrick. And if anything changes, please make sure to let me know, and I'll definitely keep you updated as well. And I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. And like I said, I think once we clear this next hearing and see what the outcome of that was, that more than likely I'm going to go ahead and give you the images as well as the video clip of the trespassing and of the vandalism.
Perfect. Yeah, that would be very valuable. All right, Patrick. Well, it was nice talking to you again, and hopefully we'll be in touch, and I'll speak to you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for your time.
All right, take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
After this call, Patrick would later ask Josiah for another phone interview. However, it seems Patrick mainly wanted to spend the call complaining about text messages he had been receiving from trolls pretending to be WWE wrestlers.
Hello?
Hey, Patrick, it's Josiah again. How are you?
I'm well. Let me step in the back here.
Sure.
Be a little quieter. All right. A little more privacy back here.
Perfect. All right, so I understand there have been a few recent developments that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Not really sure where to start, but with regards to your question the other day about them going off on these pro wrestler things. Right. Really what you've got to understand with these people is that there's really one focus for them at all times, and that is, like, I call it performative cruelty.
Uh-huh.
They are simply playing this out to try and extract the most pain and suffering out of the people they are targeting as possible, so that they can then go and show off and brag about it to the other sociopaths.
Right. I'm sorry?
And so...
I didn't hear, the last sentence.
That's what this is. That's...
Hey, Patrick, I don't hear you very well. Are you sure you've got good cellular service where you are? Or maybe that's me?
Yeah. Good about
Patrick?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you just say that again? You were talking about they're trying to maximize the performative cruelty, and then that's when it got cut off.
Oh, no, all I was saying is what they get out to. They're the most psychological it is as a way of buying capital amongst themselves so that they can then come back and brag and show off about how they've found a new way to hurt somebody, how they found a new way to intimidate or threaten somebody, how they've found new ways to inconvenience someone's life or make them waste time chasing after something. That's always been the point of this group. They egg each other on to do more of that.
Right. So you're saying the WWE stuff is sort of like style points for their sadistic.
It's a bit. They like WWE. They enjoy the idea of being the heel. So they co-opt that sort of language of that subculture also while they're showing off for each other, while at the same time harassing me, while at the same time threatening me, trying to intimidate me, all of it.
Right. Right. I guess that kind of makes sense. It's not really something I've ever seen before, but yeah, it sounds like they're trying to gain as much pleasure as they possibly can out of being cruel to people, is what you're saying.
That's all it's ever been about. I mean, that's how these people get off. They are true sociopaths.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Actually, if you don't mind, I did have a few questions because I noticed that it looks like there's been an update in the defamation lawsuit. Are you willing to talk about that and give your opinion on that?
I mean, yes, it'll have to remain off the record for the moment. I mean, we still have another hearing coming up in late September.
Right. So it looks like, so you don't want to talk about that at all?
I'm not able to.
Okay.
Yeah, not about that particular topic because it's an ongoing thing, and we have a final hearing in front of another judge on September 23rd, I believe, and that one will determine whether or not we end up owing Raul Kumar $20,000 or more.
Right.
So yeah.
How do you think it's looking right now? Is it looking like you're going to win this? Is it looking like he's going to win this? Was it looking like it's about 50-50? How do you think it looks right now?
To be perfectly honest, it's moot at this point. It doesn't matter what happens. I mean, the money of course matters, but his name is now known due to a number of screw ups, and that was the entire point of pushing the subpoena. It was to try and identify him. Well, we've done that now, so this
Right.
no longer matters.
Well, do you think that the judges are going to rule in your favor or in Rahul's favor? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Again, I don't think that's something that I'm able to comment on at this point. Not with the final hearing still on the docket.
Okay. All right. You don't have to talk about anything that your lawyers don't want you talking about, of course. And of course, I should mention we also have our own lawyers that we put all this past them, and if they see that this might hurt, one of the subjects of our article, we wouldn't put that out there. So just so you know that.
No, and I appreciate that, but I try to cover my own bases.
Right. Okay. So a few weeks ago, you sent us footage of what was apparently the vandal who vandalized your motorcycle and the side of your house.
Yes.
Is that the only footage that you had of that incident?
Yes, the way the security system at our house works, it is able to take clips of up to 30 seconds at a time, and so by the time it reset, he was in camera range. He had already finished and ran away.
So once he got into frame is when the camera turned on, and it only recorded 30
Yes,
seconds, and then it didn't, and then it stopped recording, and it didn't record while he was vandalizing.
yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. The reason I bring that up is I guess some of the higher ups were shown the footage, and it's, I'm sure you understand we have some sort of skeptical readers, some readers who pay, very, very close attention to detail, and it's going to be very difficult for us to, show that and say that it's evidence of vandalism. Uh, I'm
Well,
just,
there was no one else who was near my bike that night, and as you saw in the pictures from the next morning, that guy was there at 1:37 in the morning while my wife and I were asleep upstairs.
mhm.
He walked onto our property. He was trespassing on our property the entire time. He walked right up to my motorcycle, holding a small flashlight. Just before the footage cut off, that man absolutely vandalized my house and vandalized my motorcycle. There's
Right.
absolutely no question about it.
Did you have any more footage of the vandal?
No, we
Other
didn't
than
at the time. We didn't have a camera up on the front that would get
on the
the
side?
angle on the side of the house to show when he was vandalizing the along the side siding there.
Right,
So we didn't get him in the act of doing that.
right. I understand. Um, and are there any police incident reports or anything of the vandal that we could
Oh yes,
possibly reference? Um,
oh yes.
okay,
Yeah, there's a police report of that. The police showed up the very next morning, took pictures, dusted for, looked over for prints and all that.
okay, perfect.
There weren't any prints, but yeah, there's absolutely a police report.
Oh, you said there weren't any prints. That's a shame. Um, all right. Obviously, it's up to you completely, but if you could send us the incident report numbers, that would certainly help. Just because, we showed the video to some of the higher ups, and just based off the video alone, they might not want to put that into the article, just based on the video alone.
Well, there was also the still images that I sent along as well to show the aftermath. But I can certainly send over the police report number or the incident number. I just have to find it.
Okay, if you could do that, that might actually suffice. And if you have a incident report number of the swatting events as well, that would also definitely help. Uh, let's see.
I do know for sure I've got that one, but I'd have to go back through my email and find it. But I do have that one.
Okay, if it's not too much trouble for you.
No, I mean, those are two of the most credible threats that we experienced. Directly
Exactly.
in a way that an audience would recognize as real world. So yeah, I would certainly want them included.
Exactly. And that is pretty much the main theme of this article, is how far this can go off the internet and into the real world. So that's why some of these real life events, such as the vandalism and the swatting, it's crucial that we have as much information as we possibly can. so that we can include it in the story and we can be as detailed as possible.
Yeah, certainly. I'll get those. I'll get those 2 report numbers as soon as I can.
Okay, I appreciate that, Patrick. I just have a couple more questions. Going back to what we were just talking about earlier with the WWE and the text harassment in general, what do you think the best way to deal with these people are? Do you respond to these people? Do you just ignore them? Do you just block them? Well, if so,
ignoring people like this serves no purpose, because it simply it forces them to double and triple down, because their whole thing is about trying to extract suffering, and so if you don't, they don't stop. They don't get bored.
right.
They only increase the pain.
Right.
They only double and triple down until you have to deal with them again. I mean, I ignored them for months at a time. They never stopped. They never moved on. They want me dead. That's what they want,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they work for every single day. And if they don't get their fix, then they're just going to go and do even more monstrous things.
Right. What kinds of
So
things?
yes,
Sorry.
When they text, I explain to them their conduct is criminal, that they're being investigated, and that they're going to face consequences for what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully,
Then they laugh. And they laugh and taunt and say, "You'll never find us," blah, 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 not knowing that I already know who at least 3 of them are.
Yeah. Right. Right. All right. I have one last question, Patrick. Since you are a writer, have you considered writing a book or some other sort of long form piece about your experiences with the trolls, or maybe getting together with a documentary maker and, writing some kind of script to tell your story that way?
Those things are already being discussed.
Okay, perfect. Can you give us any more details about that, or just they're being discussed?
No, not really at this point. I mean, there's several different ways we might approach that. I've already appeared on a podcast that's growing in popularity called Strictly Stalking. I was on there like last October or November, and that generated quite a bit of interest. So, your documentaries are not out of the question. Me getting back into blogging much more long form about this once some of these stories go live is certainly not out of the question. There's a bunch of, and in fact, writing a nonfiction book about it at some point in the future, if I was able to, generate any interest from publishers, nonfiction publishers about that, then certainly I would write about it.
Right. Do you think that's sort of what this is going to take for lawmakers and law enforcement to take this seriously? Because it sounds like right now they aren't. They're either dragging
it is going to take national attention in the form of articles like yours, any other platforms that may pick it up afterwards. That's the kind of pressure that this will take, because that's what always needs to happen in situations like this. Is enough people know about it that it takes on kind of its own momentum.
Right. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Is there anything else you have to add at this point? Maybe we forgot to talk about that you wanted to let us know about?
I mean, nothing that really spins off the top of my head. I mean, this is still just my every single day, even
Right.
though, these people are beginning to suspect that I know more than they wish I knew, which is they're finally right about something. But it's just it takes a lot out of you after a while. I mean, I have to spend a couple hours a day on this instead of doing my writing, instead of doing my self promo, instead of trying to pitch. I am doing this, and it's all hours and days and weeks and months and now years that have been stolen away from the life that I am supposed to be living, just so that these people can get their jollies trying to hurt someone they have never met and know absolutely nothing about.
Right. Okay. Well, Patrick, I appreciate the phone call and I appreciate the extra information, and definitely keep us posted, and I'll keep you posted and updated on the status of the article.
All right, so I will get those incident numbers together. I don't know if we ever got the incident report for the vandalism, but it shouldn't be too hard for me to figure out what that is. Mm-hmm. But as far as the swatting incident, I know we've got that somewhere, and I can reference that through my email search and get that to you probably later tonight, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that would be extremely helpful.
And I know you don't make the final decision on this, but I mean, do you have a time frame as far as when publication may occur here?
We're thinking it's definitely a little bit later than I quoted you, I think, in our earlier interviews. It's not that people are dragging their feet so much as we just want to make sure we get everything right, because there's a lot of details, and like I said, we have a lot of readers who like to pay very close attention to detail, and because of the subject matter, we have to make sure we get everything right. I think last time I told you it would be sort of beginning of September. It's looking to be probably more mid-September, maybe second or third week of September, if I had to guess. But that's what it's looking like right now.
Alrighty. And I can probably get you. I can probably get you login and passwords so you can access the current forums, at least the public-facing side of them. I'm sure that would be helpful.
Yeah, that would be extremely helpful.
All right. I'll get all that together for you and get it over as soon as I can.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. We'll keep in touch.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Good night.
All right. Bye.
Following this call, Josiah decided he had spent enough time interviewing Patrick. Apostlegate was coming to an end, and Thomas Apostle was getting ready to reveal that he was the mole, and that he had been trolling Patrick and sabotaging his lawsuit the entire time. Because of this, Josiah scheduled one final phone call with Patrick, and this would be the call where he revealed that he was a troll, and that he never even worked for Huffington Post. Get ready, because we're finally about to hear the climax of this long and grand trolling scheme. And when Patrick finally learns the truth about the hours of phone interviews he's done, things get nasty.
Hello, this is Patrick.
Hey, Patrick, this is Josiah. Sorry for the late call. I just wanted to let you know that I spoke to my supervisor, and she says that you're a fat faggot with bitch tits, so the article is canceled. Yeah, he just hung up. Fuck! Alright, whatever. It's gonna get blown anyway, so. Alright. Hey, Patrick, I think I lost you there. What's up?
Yes, sorry about that. I was coming in and out of a building that has a bunch of steel in it, and I think it probably fucked with my signal. So anyway.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, I was just gonna say that I spoke with my supervisor about getting in contact with you. She says that you're a fat faggot with bitch tits, so we're gonna have to cancel the article.
Oh, well, the problem with that, sweetie, is that we already figured that out.
You already figured out that you're a fat faggot with bitch tits?
No, we already figured out that you're a complete posing liar, and by the way, you weren't the only person.
Oh, okay. Is that why you did like 2 hours of interviews with me? You're just that intelligent?
Yes, child.
What'd you say?
Yes, child. So what do you think you're going to do with those 2 hours of interviews exactly? Go ahead and explain it to me.
I'm gonna post them on YouTube.
Good for you, child. What do you think that's going to accomplish other than showing you to be the sociopath and loser that you are?
It's also gonna show that you're a gullible liar and that you're also fat.
No, child, it won't, because I didn't lie to you in any of those interviews. That's the only problem you guys keep having. You see, I've never lied to you about anything. That's the problem you keep coming back to. Everything I've ever told you has always been true and accurate.
Oh, so you're paying for this lawsuit out of your own pocket? Yeah, that's totally not a lie.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You said you're paying for this lawsuit out of your own pocket. That's obviously a lie. You don't have that kind of money.
Okay, well, the problem with that, child, is that I didn't say that in those interviews.
Yeah, well, you've said it many times to us and in public, so
no,
now we
child,
know.
I haven't.
Yes,
No,
child, you have.
No, child, I haven't.
Yes, child, you have.
No, child, I haven't. You see, this is where you keep screwing up because you don't actually listen to what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll make sure to accompany those interviews with screenshots of text messages where you said that you're paying for all of this with your own money. How's that?
Didn't actually say that, little baby girl.
Yeah,
anyway,
you actually
I'm
did.
going to enjoy what happens to you next.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy what happens to you
getting
next, too, faggot. Enjoy bankruptcy.
Baby child, it only gets worse for you from here.
No, it only
You
gets
don't
worse from
know
you.
How much worse it gets for you from here.
Have fun paying
but you're
Rahul.
going to learn. No, you sound like you have peanut butter in your mouth, little baby child.
Alright, you have like the faggiest comebacks, dude.
Baby child, you don't have anything to say to me. You're always wrong, and things are only getting worse from here.
Yeah, you've been saying that for the past 3 years, so
No, child, I haven't been saying that for the
yeah,
past
you have.
3 years. I've been saying that for about the past year, and I've been right for about the past year.
No, you've been saying it for the past 3 years.
No, baby child, you keep talking. Your little mouth keeps making sounds that don't make any sense except to you because you're delusional.
Go get fucked in the ass by Nikki, you faggot.
Baby child, be quiet. It
Make
gets
me,
worse
faggot.
from here.
What the fuck
Any
is
last
that?
words?
Yeah, enjoy bankruptcy and enjoy losing the lawsuit and, yeah.
Oh, but again, baby child, I'm not facing bankruptcy. That isn't on the table.
If they try to collect on that loan...
That is a delusion. Shut your stupid little fucking mouth, child. That is a delusion that you believe. Because you have to. We're not facing bankruptcy. That isn't a thing.
Well, you will be when they come to collect that lawsuit money. We know you didn't pay
for it. No, child.
Oh, so somebody was just nice enough...
And we will never owe anyone a penny.
So somebody was just nice enough to throw down $100,000 in a frivolous lawsuit, you idiot.
Little infant baby child, your mouth keeps running, but your brain isn't listening to what's being told to you. We will never owe anyone a penny. Quasi has already lost. You didn't pay attention to the hearings. Okay?
The hearings where he said that you have insufficient evidence and he's going to rule against you unless you provide evidence of specific defamation on the behalf of Quasi?
Child, baby, infant, stupid, child, you didn't listen to the hearing.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't. No, child, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
No, child, you did not. Because if you did, you would have heard the important part towards the end that the judge told you. But you didn't hear it.
You have 1 week to give me evidence, or I'm going to approve the quash.
Your mouth keeps running when it has nothing to say, child. Nothing whatsoever to say. Nothing whatsoever to say. If you'd listened, instead of trying to live in the delusion that you need to live inside, you would have heard what the judge pro tem said.
Or what did he say that was so on your side, Patrick?
But you didn't, child.
Dude, you're a mentally retarded fat piece of shit faggot.
Now it gets worse for you.
No it doesn't, dude.
Yes, child.
So you really think the judge is gonna rule in your favor? That you told Josiah, you just told Josiah that you think you're gonna lose.
Child, your mouth, it keeps doing this thing where things come out of it that have no meaning or importance. You should do something about that. Quiet, child. You have nothing to say. Never
You're not saying anything.
Child.
Okay, well, you just spent like 4 hours talking to Josiah, saying the judge is probably not going to rule in your favor, and now you're saying he probably is going to rule in your favor.
You're missing what the judge actually said.
Yeah,
you missed it. You missed it because you're cripplingly.
Okay, enlighten me, Patrick.
Your mouth keeps doing this thing. It's really weird. You should get it looked at.
I should get my mouth looked at?
Yes, you should get your mouth and your brain looked at because mentally healthy individuals don't act the way you do.
Okay, enlighten me, Patrick.
No. You're still talking when you should not be. In fact, you should never be talking because you never have anything to say. Mentally healthy people don't act out the way you do. Mentally healthy people don't pretend to be journalists.
Mentally healthy people wouldn't react like this to a prank call, you fat faggot.
Your fucking mouth, child. Don't speak anymore. You have nothing to say. That's why you always go back to saying the F word, because you have nothing to say.
That's an accurate description of you, Patrick.
No, child, it is not. It
yeah,
is a lie. It is a delusion that you have to believe in order to continue functioning.
Okay.
You have nothing to say. Nothing you believe has ever been true.
So what did Judge Stein say that makes you think that you're going to win the lawsuit, even though you told Josiah that he's probably not going to rule in your favor?
See, that's the things that are coming out of your mouth, child.
You drunk fat faggot.
Babbling, insanity, delusions. You have nothing to say. And you have never had anything to say at any point in the last 3 years. Which is why you obsess over every last detail of my life, every tweet, every post, every picture. You spend your entire life on me while I simply
my entire life?
Because shut your fucking mouth, because you're simply insane. This is not how sane people act. It just isn't. There's something broken inside of you that needs to be fixed, but since you won't go and find the help that you need to address everything that is so clearly wrong with you, we're going to have to get that help for you.
What's wrong with me? Let me know this.
No. You keep thinking you have a right to speak. You don't. You have nothing to say.
Dude, you're a fucking mentally ill narcissist.
You
You're
have
supposed to be calling people
nothing
mentally
to
ill. This isn't
say.
how people react to prank calls,
You
you
have
fat faggot.
nothing to say. You aren't a prank caller.
Yeah, I am.
No, child, you are not.
Yeah,
what you
I
are
am.
Is a cyber no, child. What you are is a cyber terrorist and a criminal. You are a criminal.
What
child.
crime?
And that's what comes next for you.
What crime? Is Sacha Baron Cohen going to prison for pretending to be a journalist?
Telephone harassment is a felony, child. What you're doing right now is a felony.
Where do you think I got your phone number?
Is a felony. What
you gave it to me.
Right now is a felony.
Dude, you gave me your phone number and gave me permission to call you.
It does not matter, child.
Yes, it does.
No, child, it does not, because you lied about who you are.
That doesn't matter.
Shut your fucking mouth. You lied about who you are so that you could further your 3-year-long obsessive criminal harassment campaign against me and my family.
Okay, that's no different from Sacha Baron Cohen.
Shut your fucking mouth. It doesn't have anything to say.
Dude, this isn't a crime, you idiot.
Your fucking mouth. What you've done by misrepresenting yourself is continuing a harassment campaign, a criminal harassment campaign. What you've done is a felony. What you're doing right now, shut your fucking mouth, you stupid little piece of shit. You have nothing to say today.
You're fat.
I am speaking to you now.
Fuck yourself.
Boy, good boy. You actually managed to shut your fucking mouth for a couple of seconds.
Oh, you didn't hear that?
Work on that. You should work on that. You should do that all the time, Charlie.
Can you hear me?
Because you have nothing to say.
Yo, Pat.
Now, I am ending this phone call because you have nothing to say. And now this conversation, which I am also recording, will be turned over to the police, who have already opened an investigation into you.
Good, I'll turn over the emails where you gave me your phone number and gave me permission to contact you. So.
It does not matter.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Don't you understand that
Yes,
part?
it does.
No, of course you don't.
Yes, it does.
No, of course you don't.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does, you fat faggot.
No, child, it doesn't matter that
yes,
I gave
it does.
you this phone number.
Yes,
you
it
go ahead and turn
does.
over
Yes,
those
it
emails,
does.
because then I will turn
Yes,
over
it does.
this conversation where you admitted that you were misrepresenting yourself the entire time. That makes it a crime.
No, it doesn't. Otherwise, Sacha Baron Cohen would be in prison if that was a crime.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're still doing that thing with your mouth. That doesn't.
Where I'm telling the truth? Yeah.
You're still no, child. You have never had a moment of truth in your life. You've never spoken truth in your life.
Okay, why isn't Sacha Baron Cohen in prison?
You're certainly not doing it right now, child.
Why isn't Sacha Baron Cohen in prison?
Shut your mouth. No. Shut your mouth. This conversation is over.
Dude, you're a drunk
Thank
idiot.
you for admitting. Shut up. I'm still speaking. You don't get to speak.
Fuck you.
Thank you for that. That will also go into the record. You misrepresented yourself from the beginning, which is a crime, by the way. You then used that to get information that you were not privy to because you were lying the entire time. That's also a crime. And you used
No, it isn't.
No, shut your fucking mouth. You used that to continue furthering your obsessive criminal.
Dude, you're a mentally retarded fat faggot.
Me and my family. Why are you still talking? You have never had a single fucking word to say, you sociopath.
Dude, you're
drunk.
drunk.
Why would you think you get to talk?
How much have you had to drink tonight, Patrick?
Why would you think you get to talk?
How much have you had to drink tonight?
Why would you think you get to talk? I don't.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
Of any importance or relevance to say. Never have.
Okay, so why isn't Sacha Baron Cohen in prison for doing the same exact thing?
There's no okay. This isn't a conversation. It never was. You lied. You misrepresented yourself in the continuance of your criminal activities. You only advanced the criminal case against you.
Okay.
Okay? There you go.
Feel free to show the Milwaukee Police Department prank call. I'll be happy to supplement that sending with an email where you sent me your phone number and gave me permission to call you, you idiot.
Those are the facts of the case.
The facts of the case are you gave me your phone number and said I could call you, and I called you.
You misrepresented.
It doesn't matter.
Who you are. Shut your fucking mouth, you stupid little baby infant. You misrepresented.
Is this what you did to your school teachers every time they proved you wrong?
Shut your fucking mouth! You misrepresented who you are in order to falsely and fraudulently obtain information. That's what you did. That is a crime.
No, it isn't.
It does not matter. Yes, child, it is.
What crime would that be?
It does not matter. Yes, child, it is.
It does matter.
It does matter.
It does matter.
I gave you
It does matter. It does matter, Patrick.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I will not shut my fucking mouth.
Shut your fucking mouth. Why do you think you get to talk? I don't understand why you think you have any right to talk to me in the first place.
Yo, shut the fuck up, you fat faggot.
It's truly bizarre. It's truly bizarre. Whatever mental health issues you have that you think that you get to treat complete strangers.
What are you drinking tonight?
Is something. No. Be quiet. Be quiet. The fact that you have such severe antisocial problems in your tiny little brain that you think you get to treat complete strangers you know nothing about this way says a million times more about everything that you have, all the deficiencies in you as a person, than it will ever say about anyone you have ever tried to fuck with. But you fucked with the wrong person. And now you're going to pay.
Yeah, I'm really scared, Patrick. 3 years of telling me that I'm going to get arrested in,
no, you should be scared.
A matter of days, pretty much. That's what you've been saying.
You should be.
Actually, about a year ago, I asked you on Reddit.
Actually, you didn't ask me anything because you don't get to ask me questions.
Well, I did, and you answered. And I asked you, what's your new script going to be?
Questions, little one.
Well, I asked you, and you answered.
You don't get to ask questions, little one. This
well,
is a conversation.
You don't get to define reality, actually.
You don't get to ask me questions.
Okay, well, when the judge rules against you, you're gonna really understand who's in charge, Patrick.
This is not a conversation, little one.
Dude, you're drunk as fuck, man. Stop drinking, stop eating so much, you idiot. Go exercise and see your daughter, you fat faggot.
Child, your mouth keeps doing that thing.
Yeah, I'm giving you good advice. That's probably what your conscience is telling you.
You need to get that looked at by a doctor.
You need to listen to your conscience, Patrick. Is your conscience telling you to go on Twitter all day? Or is it telling you to go have your daughter in your life and get a real job and stop being obsessed with Twitter?
Little baby child, my conscience is clear. Yours
no, it isn't. I know that.
Not. Oh, baby, it really is.
I highly doubt that. Really, your conscience tells you to have no contact with your daughter?
Baby child, you doubt everything.
Why are you getting so uppity about that?
You have never believed a single true thing about me, my family.
That is a
wife,
true thing.
My extended family, my friends, my colleagues. You've never believed a single true.
That's a true thing that you wrote, Patrick.
Shut your fucking mouth. Don't speak.
Yeah, that's what you tell your conscience, Patrick.
Don't speak. You have never believed a single true thing about me or anyone in any way tangentially associated with me. Everything your defective little group of sociopathic cultists tosses around as dogma is false. You can't separate your own delusions from reality anymore.
Dude, you're a fucking child, dude. Stop playing with fucking toys. Lose some weight.
No, nothing.
Get a real job.
I simply don't.
Get back with John and Adrian. Get back in their good graces so you can see your daughter, dude. Quit it with this fucking bullshit.
That's not how any of this works.
You're not a victim. Nobody is trying to harass you.
It's not none of your concern.
If you
people harass
if
me
you stopped being a fucking dickhead to everybody,
day.
this would people would
me
stop fucking with
every
you.
Single day.
No.
Criminally. What you do is a fucking felony.
No, it isn't.
All of it.
No, it isn't.
It is a fucking felony. The fact you're calling me right now is a fucking felony.
No, it isn't.
The fact you're recording me right now.
You gave me your phone number, idiot.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, the judge isn't gonna tell me that when I say that to him.
The judge is not involved here. The judge is not in this conversation. Because there isn't a conversation. There is.
Well, guess what? You're not gonna be able to say that to the police when
fucking mouth.
When the police ask you, did you give this person your phone number? And you say, shut your fucking mouth. Guess what? They're not gonna pursue your case.
Shut your fucking mouth. It's a really easy thing to do. You can just stop talking. You can just stop calling me. You can just stop.
Yeah, I can.
You can just stop.
Can you stop twittering?
You'll get really fucking lucky. Maybe you'll get lucky and not be identified and not be arrested.
I don't care about being identified, dude.
Chance you have.
You already identified me on that
That's
spreadsheet.
The only chance you have left.
Spoiler alert, I don't live in the US.
That's the only chance you have left in this world, child.
Okay. Well, anyways,
Nope, you're still trying to talk and you don't get to. You're still trying to talk and you don't get to.
because you're a narcissist, dude.
You have
Your mother fucked you up. Your mother told you that you're special. You have authority.
You have nothing.
You're an intellectual genius. You're smarter than everybody.
Nothing.
You're special.
You have nothing.
And look where you are now, dude. You're $100,000 deep in legal fees. You're about to pay Quasi $20,000. You're married to a lesbian. You can't see your daughter. You don't have a real job.
Really should. You really
wow, I'm
should
really
pay
jealous,
attention to the
Patrick. I should
trial
really
when
get a
the
life.
judge told you what was happening, child.
Yeah, he told you he's going to uphold the quash unless you
No, child,
show a
you
specific
didn't.
example.
Quasi's already out that money, child. The judge already told you that.
No, you're going to be
yes, child,
ordered to pay him.
Really should have listened to the hearing. You should have listened to the hearing. The judge already told you Quasi is not getting his money.
No, he didn't.
It's not happening.
Did not say that.
Child, he did.
No, he didn't.
He did.
You know, we have recordings of that moron.
And didn't hear what the judge.
He never said Quasi is out of his money.
Yes, child, he did.
No, he didn't.
You didn't listen to what. Yes, child,
You're gonna have to pay him.
Maybe your ADD or whatever the fuck is wrong with you made it so that you kind of wandered off or weren't paying attention. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the last hearing, the judge already said Quasi's not getting his money. He didn't use those words, so maybe it confused you.
He didn't use those words, okay. So that goes into your psychotic interpretation in your brain, Patrick.
No. You have a tiny little brain that has many, many things wrong with it, which is why you did this in the first place.
Dude, you cheated on that half marathon. You sent yourself that. You will never find me 14.
Because those sounds are meaningless and have nothing to say. There's no actual information contained within any of the little squeaks that come out of your pathetic little lips.
You
right?
emailed yourself from you will never find me 1488.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Good boy. Thank you for shutting the fuck up. Anyway, I'm ending this
Keep ruining your life, you stupid idiot. We're gonna keep pointing and laughing at you.
You keep
pointing and laughing at you. Yes.
Why? I can't conceive of why you think talking is in any way beneficial to you when you have nothing to say.
Trying to help you, Patrick.
I'm ending the conversation now, and I'm going to go back in and continue having fun with all of my friends and my very.
Oh, your friends.
And then we're going to go home and have a very good evening.
And she's gonna fuck you in the ass.
Thank you very much. Go fuck yourself. No, that's not. I'm into things, but that's definitely not one of them.
Yes, it is. You already said it was. She likes. You like to get fucked in the ass, Patrick. Don't lie. You already admitted that.
No.
Yeah,
child,
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
say that.
Yeah, you did.
No, child, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did.
It's one of those things that is a delusion that you hold.
You like to get fucked in the ass.
How other actual human beings work. You just don't understand things.
You like to get pegged in the ass by your wife.
You are fundamentally
broken
as a person, and we both know it.
You're a gay faggot, dude. You like things in your ass.
No, like, sweetheart, mentally healthy people don't act the way you do. They just don't.
Well, straight people don't like to get fucked in the ass, Patrick.
They have hobbies that don't include being a cyber terrorist against complete strangers. But that's what you do because you mistake cruelty for comedy, because there's something fundamentally broken inside of you as a person.
This isn't how mentally stable people respond to prank calls, Patrick.
I can't help that for you. There's nothing I can do about that. And if I could, I wouldn't, because you're a sociopath, and I don't want to help you in any way. I want to see you stopped. I want to see you put in prison where you...
Exactly, because you're a narcissist. You have these incredibly delusional...
Child, you keep doing this talking thing when you have nothing to say, and it's really tiring. I gotta tell you.
Dude, you clearly do not live a good life that anybody envies.
No, baby, child, you obviously don't, or you wouldn't act this way. That's just not how
Why, doing prank calls?
Would act. No, you have nothing. That's why you're doing this on a Saturday.
Doing a 20-minute prank call?
That's why you're doing this on a Saturday night, because you have no life. You have no one to go to. You have no one who cares about you. You have
Dude, you're
no
fucking
one who wants
deranged.
to be with you. And I do. So guess what? We're just going to go ahead and end this pointless talk.
And you're going to get fucked in the ass by your wife.
You never had anything to say. No, child.
Yeah, you will.
No, child.
You like to get fucked in the ass by your wife.
No,
little
baby child.
Yeah.
No, child.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Believing your delusions, because it's all you have left.
No, that's
this
something
world.
you said, Patrick.
And I
like to
am
get
going
fucked
to
in the
take
ass.
those from you, too.
You're gonna
Good
take
night,
what?
You fucking abject coward.
You're a
Jesus
fucking fat
Christ.
faggot.
No, I'm not. It's
Yeah,
not
you are.
That's simply untrue. No, it's simply untrue, baby doll. It's just not a true statement. It's a delusion you hold. You, however, who hides, who never shares his name, never shares his face, doesn't use his real phone number because he's terrified of consequences.
No, it's because I live in another country and I deal with long-distance phone calls if I gave you my real phone number.
Yeah, you're just mumbling. It's pathetic. Good night,
I'll give
Howard.
you my real phone
Never
number,
speak to me
actually.
again.
0995... I already hung up. Damn. That went way longer than I thought. Alright.
Well, if you made it this far, I want to thank you, as by this point you have sat through hours of Patrick's lies and exaggerations. That final call, though, had a pretty decent payoff, if you ask me. Thank you for tuning in. And for my subscribers, don't worry, we've got more great content coming soon. That's all for tonight. But if you want to learn more about the Apostlegate trolling saga, I have a video going over it in depth you should check out as well. This has been Cryptic Web Chronicles. Good night.